Hi everyone, it's Thursday. Again, that was another really, really quick week. It was. I've just been taking a look round me and I tell you, the radio shed, what a sight. Good or bad? What do you think? Answers on a postcard, please, too. Whatever. Anyway, it's Paul English Live, episode 127. I'm just beginning to remember the numbers properly. Welcome to the show. And in a week of tremendous political excitement, we'll be talking, well, I might be talking quite a bit about all this sort of malarkey that's going on over here in England. All this sort of restoration stuff, which is quite up my street, actually. I hope it's up yours. Might not be, eh? We have a returning guest as well later on in the show. Gary Glendale, who was here just a couple of weeks ago, should be joining us with some interesting tales, further tales to tell from the realms of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Yeah, hi everyone, welcome back. Hope you've had a jolly good week. It's been one lovely day followed by one horrible day. We won't be able to talk about the weather soon though, because it's all going to be marvellous. One of the things that's quite exciting for me personally, I hope it is for you too, is the arrival of lighter nights. I just realised that today we're basically we're going to have the same amount of light as we had towards the end of October, aren't we? We're 2 months past December the 21st and that kind of stuff. And I've noticed it. I was up bright and breezy this morning about 7 o'clock, which is always nice to get a good start to the day. It threw me out a bit, though, because by the time we got to 10 o'clock, I thought it was midday. All a bit weird, but nice. It meant I got an extra cup of tea in today, which I think was really rather marvellous. Somebody who may have also been having quite a few cups of tea today is Eric Von Essex. Eric, how's your tea count today? And welcome to the show.
Oh, hello. Well, I've only had one cup of tea today. Aren't I a good boy? And 2 coffees. So there we go. But I used to have milk in my coffee, and I couldn't drink anything, tea or coffee, without milk one time. But it's a bit like sugar. I've gone off of milk now, and I'm having coffee black with butter and, as your suggestion, what was it now? You have butter and
coconut oil
in it. And that as well. Yeah. Very nice too, it is.
Yeah.
So I got used to it. Now, it's surprising what you get used to. I mean, when I used to put sugar in my tea all years ago, and I gave it up when I was in my late teens. And a couple of years back, someone accidentally put sugar in my tea and almost threw up. I thought, this is vile. So it's surprising, the difference, what we get used to. But before the show started, I was thinking of, we was talking about some products in the Fockham Hall lineup, and was it Food for Thought shop, and I started it off by saying about a repellent spray, and you thought of a fantastic spray. Do you think we're allowed to say it on the radio?
Well, we do, but I might put somebody's nose out of joint, but it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Well, there's this phrase, isn't there? The overthrow of Western Christendom has been termed sometimes as a globo home event. So I thought, really, if you are going to come up with an aerosol repellent, maybe Globo Homogon might be a good name. But then I'd be locked up for that, possibly. So, have you got any GHG? Oh, yeah, we got a few tins, mate. Yeah, here we go. And you just go around the built-up area, spray it around, and it disperses, gets rid of all the... I know. It's very, very rude of me. It's wrong. I apologise to everybody that I've offended and upset.
Oh, so do I. Yes.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yes.
Do you like today's picture, the image for the show? By the way, if you're on radio, if you're on WBN, tuning in, and shout out to everybody on YouTube and Rumble and Radio Soapbox and Food for Thought Radio. and Holy Land Radio and Global Voice Network and Eurofolk Radio. Good grief. And isn't it good? Hopefully there'll be so many stations at some point that it'll take me half an hour to mention them all. But for those of you on the radio, of course, you can't see today's show picture. But if at some point later on your curiosity has been piqued, you may want to head on over to the Rumble or YouTube channels and take a gander. Why am I banging on about it? Because I kind of like it a lot. I love the colours. It's, of course, an AI-generated bit of stuff. Supposedly, a representation of Tartaria. How about that? Although, I've never seen a tart area like that before, I could tell you, mate. That's not much of a red light district.
Hello.
But you know what I mean?
Hello, darling. Hey up.
But yes, anyway, I was talking before you arrived, courtesy of whatever it was that you were doing before. Me and Paul were talking about the image, and just to let you know, everybody that's looking at it, look at it now. The tower that's in the middle, that's where we are right now. I've had a bit of an improvement to the radio shed, and we've raised it up 200 feet into the air, and we're in that dome. That's the transmitter at the top. And Eric actually arrived courtesy of his personal Fockham Hall dirigible. You can see some of them still floating around. Because you like dirigibles, don't you, Eric?
I like dirigibles. Unfortunately, someone put a pin in it, and it sort of went all the way around, all the way around the tower.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Anyway,
Yes.
I love it. I don't know what you think in YouTube and Rumble. You can say, Paul, it's a bit puffy or whatever you want to say. Oh, am I allowed to say that anymore? Oh, good grief. I don't know. But I like it. Yeah, I know this AI stuff. People go, good grief. It's going to whatever. We've just got to get on with stuff. So some of them are very good. And I bumbled across that one. A couple of weeks ago. Actually, it's nearly a month back, so I never know whether these things are going to coincide at all with what we're going to talk about. Usually not, actually. They're just me sort of finding a pretty picture, although some of them are kind of more on topic. But there you go. Yeah, so anyway, I quite like air balloons. I think they're really rather... I like the fact that they don't go so quickly. I think that's really rather good, actually. I'd like to see things slow down a bit.
Well, where I live, we used to see lots of hot air balloons coming over. And I'm going back quite a few years now. I haven't seen a hot air balloon for ages. And they used to be very common around here anyway. Yeah. And I was just going up the stairs. I think I was going to the bathroom. And I could hear this noise. And I thought, that sounds bloody loud. And went into the back bedroom. And coming towards the back bedroom was this basket with a bloody great balloon over the top of it. And a bloke puffing air into it to get as much height as possible, and he just missed my roof and sort of hopped over the roof and was trying to get sort of higher, and but one crashed in my neighbour's field next door, and the people were all right, but he came down, and I think someone was, a few cuts and grazies, but nothing too dangerous, And that's the trouble with balloons. You just got to go where the wind takes you.
Oh, it's the trouble with them. I know, my dad said to
me,
she
got the wind, got trouble with the wind.
When I was young, he said, I don't want you to become a bloody balloonist. I won't, Dad, I promised. Don't get into that ballooning lark. You never know what you're going to... Somebody actually shot one of somebody landing one, I think, in Bedford High Street a couple of years ago. Right, or... in between some terrace houses, the road that goes, it's never very wide in England, and they managed to land one without hurting anybody or even landing on a car. They were suffering severe leakage. Somebody had burst their bubble or something, and they were slowly coming down. But it was quite exciting. I thought that'd be quite fun, really. Look out your window. Oh, there's somebody in a very large balloon about to land in the road. So I thought it was quite fun. Yeah, it was quite nice.
Yes. Yeah, sorry, carry on.
Well, I was going to say, I wasn't really planning to talk about balloons, but look at how we've drifted into it. We've floated along into balloon talk. But yes. You may remember years and years ago, in fact, they're still trying to make this thing. This English chap who I think was involved in the design of the hovercraft, and I can't remember his name.
Christopher Cockerell.
Well, I think he was involved with this. They were looking at updating and upgrading the whole idea of lighter than air vehicles, i.e. airships. and he came up with this twin-hulled version. It has been carried on by a team, I think, a sort of Anglo-American team out of England. I think it was out of those big aircraft hangars. Where were they? Do you remember those massive things?
Cardington. Yeah, they're in Cardington in Bedfordshire. I used to drive past them.
They all wear cardigans there, don't they, as well in Cardington? That's
right.
And have pipes and things and pencils and things like that.
That's right.
Yeah, so all jolly good.
And do you know where the term dropping a clanger comes from?
Well, I do.
When they worked on airships.
All right, go on.
If they dropped a spanner, it would go clang, 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 clang down the ironwork. Oh, sorry, down the metalwork. No, it wasn't iron.
Yeah.
And that's where they called it dropping a clanger, because it would probably end up doing damage.
Right.
So,
well, I've got a counter definition for you on that one. Right. Mm-hmm. So I'll play your clanger down the airship thing against this one. I'm going to bring out the big guns now, Eric. I'm going to bring out Sir Isaac Newton, Apple Man, apple on the head, all that kind of stuff. You know, secret society guy, Mason, all that kind of stuff. So
funny handshakes.
Yeah, actually, this is sort of thematically a preview of what we're going to be talking about later. In part, the monetary thing again today. Coins. So when he was appointed head of the Royal Mint. Why? Because he was an engineer and a physician and a mathematician and sort of decided to write calculus for fun. Although I think Leibniz was doing something almost identical at the same time, which is a bit weird, isn't it, how these things pop up at the same time? Unless it's all a big organised secret society lark, which it probably possibly is. But coin clipping, right? There was rampant. Coins actually used to have metal in them that was worth something. And so coin clipping was a known thing, and you'd get a pile of change, and then you go through a couple of coins, and you find that they're being clipped. Someone had actually taken a pair of pliers, you know, like those big blacksmith's pliers and stuff like that, and clipped bits off the edge, which they would then remelt down and go off and use that. The thieving swines. So they weren't happy about this, the Royal Mint. They said, look, Sir Isaac, or he might not have been Sir by this time, I don't know, maybe he was just plain Izzy or something. They said, can you sort this out? Because honestly, we're a bit peeved. We are the ones that are supposed to rob people. We don't want to be robbed ourselves. We don't like this. This is wrong, you see. And so he redesigned the coins in a particular way so that when somebody gave you a clutch, say they gave you 40 pennies, and I think he did it to all the coins, right? When they gave you the pennies, you could drop them on the table, one on top of the other, like a big column of them, chink, 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 like you see in films of pirates, you know, when they're counting all their stuff. And every time one coin would land on the next coin, it would make a particular ring because they were set to a certain size, so they emitted a certain tone. I don't know what it was, dong, 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 or whatever, or clunk, 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 clunk. But if the coin had been clipped or had base metals in it that didn't correspond to whatever it was, because they'd reforged these things, it would make a clang. And it would be wrong. And you would therefore very quickly be able to detect if someone was passing off duff money at you. And that's called dropping a clanger. So there you go. Now, everybody out there.
That's interesting.
You will have to decide, what is it? Is it Eric's definition about airships and dropping spanners down stairways? Or is it Isaac Newton with the apple on his head, redesigning it so that a clanger became known as passing duff money because it had been coil clipped? Answers on a postcard, please, and we'll send you some clipped coins or an airship spanner if you're if you come out of the winning hat, something like that. We'll have to get organised with these competitions. We really should give prizes out, shouldn't we?
Yeah, why not?
What do you think, Eric? Now that I've given you that one, what do you think? Hey, what do you think that is?
I think
Have I swung you?
I think it's it's a bit of each actually. It's a bit like the saying, "Was it Godfrey Bloom?" Because you know who that one is. It's the RAF when we were working on secret codes in the 1930s.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them used to go a little bit mental. So a polite way, if someone was missing, they'd say, "Where's old Greaves this morning, or Jarvis this morning?" They'd say, "Oh, he's gone for a Burton," because the RAF psychiatrist had his place over the top of Burton's tailoring. So that was a polite way of saying he's gone to the shrink. He's gone for a Burton.
Yeah,
that was it.
Oh wow. We had some other. I was out the other night actually. I actually first night out practically this year at the pub. In fact, Mark the Bowler Hat Farmer had a show on I've got to tell you this one. There's been all sorts of little funny kerfuffles this week. So Food for Thought Radio is slowly building up ahead of steam. We've got loads and loads of people still to talk. It's quite exciting, actually, if not a little sort of exhausting. It is like herding cats. And I think I said this last week.
Yes.
And I'm one of them. At times, I need a bit of herding. Do you know what I mean? To keep you on point. Particularly
Really? Yeah.
Yeah, little jobs sort of build up. And you go, oh, bugger, I haven't done that. And I should have done it yesterday and this sort of stuff. But Mark had a show on Tuesday and I was determined to go to the pub. I can't spend the rest of my life. Actually, I can probably in front of the computer looking at things. But so I trained him up as a proper radio producer would. It's awfully grandiose of me. Got him set up with a StreamYard studio, which we use here, which you can get free, everybody, if you're thinking of getting into this sort of audio lark. If you want to go video streaming, you've got to shell out with them, and it's not cheap. I think it's about $49 a month, which is, I think, a tad on the pricey side for what they're offering, but that's just me being a thrifty northerner. But the audio quality and the way that this thing works is pretty good. So anyway, we got Mark all sorted out. So he's all mic'd up now. He's got a proper mic, just like you do, and he's got the headphones and all that kind of stuff. And we got it all working nicely on the Sunday. He said, you should be okay. So I thought what I'll do is I'll just, because we were meeting at about 7:20, and his show starts at 7. I thought, if it gets off, if I see it leave the harbour, I'm off. I'm out of here, right? And in the end, it all turned out fine. Everything went tickety-boo. But at the beginning, right, he went to the wrong studio. Now, these are his own studios. These are his. I'm sat there. I hope I'm embarrassing you, Mark, if you're tuned in. He's probably not. He's very busy. I think he's out maybe even giving a speech tonight or something. But, he'd gone to the wrong one. So he said, I can't see you. I said, mate, you're in the wrong place. It's a bit like you said, meet at the pub and someone's got the wrong pub. There's no one here. No, you're in the wrong pub. So I thought, it's a good job I hung around, you see. That's what it's like. It's all belt and braces around here. There's nothing much you can do about that. You can have all finest technical whiz-bang in the world, but if someone actually goes to the wrong studio, like in the wrong part of the building, we can't actually hear you from there, Mark. And anyway, so he only lost a couple of minutes at the beginning, which was cool. The show was great. Paul, who joins him, who's another farmer, who's doing great and everything. I think Mark's plan is that Paul's going to start taking over some of those shows and being the host on those, which is great, So slowly pulling more and more people into the space to big up and build up the conversation. So, yeah, all good stuff. And if Mark did hear this, I hope he is suitably embarrassed, actually. I think he ought to be.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Anyway, there was something I was going to say anyway about cardigans and Cardington and these balloon things, right? Mm-hmm. They redesigned them in the late 80s, or this guy came out with a twin-hulled version, and they've actually built a few very impressive figures from the article I remember reading. I think it was in the Sunday Times. I used to read that back in the late 80s, early 90s. It was not bad, to be quite honest, before Tinternet had really taken off and you had some choice in the matter. They're brilliant, really, airships for all sorts, particularly for disaster relief. They're absolutely amazing when you go, because they can travel huge distances. Yeah, not quick, right? Like I think 70, 80 mile an hour, or maybe 40, 50 knots, whatever that is. So you've got to plan it out. But the problem with disaster areas is generally all the infrastructure smashed to bits, railroads, roads, everything. So if you've got a lot of food in these things, and this big one that he'd created could carry something like 50 Chieftain tanks, its lifting capacity was enormous, absolutely colossal, this thing. Yeah, it was great. Really brilliant idea. And but disaster relief, the idea is you could fill it full of food, and drop it off somewhere in England because we're going to need it at this rate. But, you could go to some disaster area and it didn't need a ground crew. These dirigibles that you see in this image, of course, are they're echoing those designs from the 1910s and 20s, and you needed a massive ground crew. That was one of the problems with them, to get the rope down and all that kind of stuff, with some tragic deaths, unfortunately, caused by all that nonsense. This didn't, because it worked like a reverse hovercraft. It actually worked like a vacuum cleaner. As he got it near to the ground, they did something with the fans inside it, and it literally sucked it down to the ground. It was brilliant. And then the back end opened up a bit like Thunderbird 2. You remember Thunderbird 2?
Yeah, I remember
great.
Thunderbird too. Yeah, yeah.
It looked like Thunderbird 2 as well. It was that elliptical sort of shape. And you could get all the stuff off. You could get people in, get them off to hospitals. Yeah, not quick, but very safe. Huge sort of carrying capacity. You could treat people on. But anyway, I quite liked all that back then.
I think they're very, very, very good. And my dad, when he was young, he saw the R101. It flew over his school where he was, and the children were allowed to sort of look at it out the window, and it filled the window. He said it's a great big thing, and it crashed later on in France because the R100 was a good one, and the R101 was a rubbishy one. But with balloons, I used to work with a balloon pilot, and
there's not many people can say that, Eric. Is there?
Yes,
what
balloon
are they called?
Pilot.
Are they called balloon pilots? Are they called something
I
else?
don't know.
Do you call them balloonists? An aeronautical engineer? No, an aeronaut. What are they? They've got some nice names, haven't they?
I don't know, but he's a very pleasant sort of character and a very sort of kind type of chap. And many years later, I'm talking about sort of 20 or 30 years later, I was listening. This is when I used to listen to the radio, and he was killed. He actually collided with overhead power lines, and he got obviously created a fire, and is a very nasty death. It's terrible. And because he said, I remember him saying, when you land, if a gust of wind blows up, you can go straight up again. And he said, you have to sort of bounce it down. And what must have happened? He's a very experienced pilot.
Yeah.
It must have gone down. A gust of wind must have come up, and it happened in Spain. And he hit the power cables, and bang, that was it. It all caught light, and that was the end of him, which is very, very sad. But yes, I suppose he died doing what he loved doing, and that was flying balloons.
Yeah, DJ B2 in YouTube has written an extremely puzzling comment to me anyway, but that's because I'm very slow.
Interesting, isn't it?
He's written, hot air balloons have been tainted by the spectre of noncery. What does that mean? You okay, Eric? You've kind of disappeared. Have you just had an internet moment? Oh, you're back? That's good. You've disappeared, Eric. There he was. He was there.
I'm back. Yeah, it sort of went.
Yeah.
It went into robot mode. It's all
yeah, that's to do with your. You don't want to keep doing that because I think you've still got it.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of still doing it a little bit. Yeah, so, you've got to. You might want to come out and come back in again, as the actress said to the bishop. I think
I might have trouble with.
Yeah.
Me.
You have. You're having a technical. You're having a technical senior moment, Eric.
If you can. Down
yeah, maybe if you just come out and come back into the studio, that might help you a little bit.
Problem.
Yeah. Have you not been paying the bill again? Oh, well. Well, that was Eric Von Essex for you, everybody. It was great having him while it lasted. But if you don't put a shilling in the meter, this is what happens. So, and then there was.
Oh, you're back. I'm back.
Oh, good.
I'm back. It just said, having trouble connecting. This is often caused by an unstable internet connection or a soppy twit trying to connect his internet. Sorry, I didn't say that. With a router that's not up to it. But, yeah, I don't know what. So I closed a few bits down, and I think it's all right now.
Oh, that's lovely.
I missed all what was said.
Oh, it was brilliant. You missed some of the best things I've ever said. I was beginning to feel a bit lonely, though, and unattended. Yeah,
never mind.
Tremendous. Yeah, it's always a worry. I'm always very nervous now thinking about your internet connection, which is not good for my mental health, Eric. You see,
no,
I need
no,
my
I know
mental
what you
health.
Mean. Yes.
I'll tell you something that's been very bad for my mental health today is that I had a 2-hour phone call, which I don't. If I go into the details, it's far too personal in a way. Although it's not. I don't mean in that way. I mean, it's to me dealing with bureaucracy and certain financial establishments. It was absolutely exhausting. I was knackered at the end of it because I just couldn't get anywhere. I've got this bizarre situation where I have been in a position to pay a bill and I want to pay this bill, and they say, pay this bill. I'm going, yes, I'd like to pay it. Where do I send the money? We're not going to tell you that. Seriously, I'm not winding you up. We're not going to tell you. You can't make the payment. Okay. So one department's saying, make the payment. And then I call them up and they say, oh, you can't. I'm going, can you talk to that other department who keeps sending me these heavy letters? I've got the money to pay you. It does need to be paid. It's quite an important bill. And it's all ready to go, but I can't do it. I'm serious. It's just mad. And all the people that I speak to, they're really nice. You know, they are. They said, and I'm going, look, this is not a personal thing. I said, but if you were me, what would you do other than shoot yourself? I said, it's just absolutely. I've never been in a situation where I've got a bill to pay and I can pay it. And I want to, this has been going on for 9 months. 9 months, right?
Bloody hell.
Yeah, no, it's absolutely mad. And then when they send me details today, they suddenly decide I can pay. They won't send me a receipt for where I've paid it to. I'm going, look, hang on, just a minute. Just a minute. I said, it's not that I don't trust you because it's a big organisation. I said, but seeing as how your track record is one of almost schizophrenia in relation to me, I never know quite who I'm talking to. I want some reassurance that I'm actually doing what you tell me to do because I have no idea, frankly, whether I'm doing the right thing or not, because you've got, it's really weird, honestly. It's extremely, and it's quite distressing. I was quite distressed. And I haven't got wound up. I haven't got wound up for a long time over this sort of thing, but it drained me. And I thought, oh, bloody hell, I'm knackered from all this. And you know, I've just been watching a little thing tonight. Rupert Lowe's been interviewed by, I've forgotten his name, the Lotus Eaters guy. I'm not necessarily a big fan, but he seems to have made a name for himself.
I think I've seen it, yes.
The guy with the goatee beard, Carl something or other, is it? I can't remember his surname. Yes. He's not bad, I suppose. Look at me. He's got a massive following. Here we are, you know, floating around in our dirigible, Eric, in the middle of nowhere. But it's quite nice, isn't it? At least we've got a very select and wonderful audience, which I
jolly
like.
Nice people.
Jolly nice. A bit too nice, frankly. They need to get quite awful and nasty, I think. But anyway, they were talking about this, and I think he was talking about. He quoted. Carl Benjamin, is that his name? Is that right? Have I got it right now? Has it popped up right?
I can't remember.
It might be. Somebody in chat might know. Anyway, he was just quoting Bertrand Russell, good old Bertie, which of course can be a bit of a worry. But this was a good quote because they would, you know, Mr. Lowe has been talking about the fact that the government is now literally the enemy of the people. This is now, I think, round in these ear parts, we are possibly, it's a bit like water off a duck's back because, you know, that's been a subtext to much of what we've talked about for years. Certainly I have. I suspect you have too, Eric, even before I met you.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, you look at things, you go, this ain't right. But Bertie Russell made a very good observation in general terms. I don't have the quote in front of me, but he was talking about bureaucracy. And he said the problem with it is that they're not incentivized to actually help you. You're actually a problem. And this is because as a structure, they're not based on having to financially perform. They get given money, don't they, to do their tasks, and they just want to get on doing it. You rock up with a moan or a legitimate complaint, or you want to point something out that's not working right, and you've just ruined their day. So the idea of them being able to act as servants and serve the distress that we all meet from time to time on this wonderful journey in life, they don't have an incentive to do that. And this is why you get this ever escalating situation of distrusting, then hating bureaucracy, because it becomes a lot. Yeah. Yeah, we loathe it.
And a good civil servant is seen to be doing, but doesn't exactly do anything. Doesn't make a decision. Mm-hmm. And that is a good civil servant that doesn't actually achieve anything in what they're doing. But I had a bit of a frustrating day because I've just renewed my car insurance with Confused.com, and you get a £20. You can choose you get like a £20 token that you can spend in Marks and Spencers or Sainsbury's or Tesco's or wherever. Now, I used to get one for Halfords. So I bought my car insurance today, and I went on to where you can claim your £20 back. Oh no, you've got to download an app onto your phone now. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't like apps on my phone. I want to keep my phone clear of crap. I just want it nice and clean. You know, I don't want loads of apps on there.
Yep.
So anyway, I spent ages downloading this app in order to get my £20 back. And now this app, even though it's got all my details, thinks I haven't purchased the car insurance but I have purchased the car insurance, and it wants to do a quote and go through the whole process of me buying car insurance. So I've got to actually sort that out with them tomorrow. I mean, what's going on? I mean, why can't you do it like you used to? You just press a button and claim your blooming 20 quid. Oh no, can't do that now. Oh, no. That's too easy. No, you've got to have an app.
It's not good. That's no good. It's not good for business, Eric. Yeah. It's good for you, but it's not good for the business. You think about the business and the shareholders. Come on.
Well, that's right. I mean, my previous insurance, I'm what they call an insurance tar. I get the lowest insurance from anybody. And last year, my car insurance have gone up, 50 quid? Only 50 quid. So I told the last insurance company to go get where to go politely, and I've saved that 50 quid because I bought car insurance, which was not that much higher than last year. So it's good to shop around. But I'm still upset about my £20 bonus because I can't claim it. He wants me to buy he says you can only claim it once you bought the car insurance. I bought the car insurance.
It's all getting out of hand, isn't it? I heard a little clip from the Jeff Rense show the other day, which many people will be familiar with, and if you're not, well, it's difficult to hear it live if you're in the UK because I think it starts at 3 a.m. or 2 a.m. It's a bit of a challenge, that sort of stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's just a bit silly. But it's a show of tremendous long standing. EXO is very closely connected to it in many ways. I think he knows a few people there, and he kindly set me up to go on Jeff's show, I think a couple of years back now, or 18 months ago.
That's good of him.
Yeah, it was. I didn't mind getting up for that. I think I was on in the last hour, which was a pain. I think I started at 4 o'clock in the morning or something. Oh, it's fine, Jeff. I'm okay. I'm full of beans at 4 a.m.
I've just collapsed.
No, it was great to be on there with him. But he was running a little article the other day about, he was using a clip from something else about cars. And we've talked about this, haven't we, a lot. And I just think these things are common across everywhere, certainly across the advanced Western world. One of the things that was really, I'd be intrigued to know as well from the listeners out here, certainly ones that can actually talk back to us in Rumble and YouTube, if any of you have got cars on loan agreements or stuff like that. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it was a clip with all these people being asked what they were paying each month for their car. I nearly fell through the floor. I couldn't believe it. $900. That was the cheapest one. I mean, that's 700 quid, right? I went, what? $1,400 a month. Oh, I'm paying $1,800 a month to buy my car. I'm going, what? That was, and these are these modern cars. Then there was a whole section about modern cars and what a complete pain in the backside they are. And I think he was making the observation, because of all the plastic that's in them, this completely...
Yes.
So all this plastic that's in them, it's not that it's not fitted in nice and all that. It's just anemic, it's surgical, it's digital, the whole thing. And then, of course, you've got 5 to 6 miles of wiring, I think, now, in the average family saloon, which is mad. Everything's electronic. You can't get into your car without sticking the keyring up your backside for it to read your bum print or whatever it is.
Yes.
All this nonsense, right? Can't get in and out of your car. Everything's, metered. But it's getting even worse. I think Mr. Renz made the observation that he expected that there would be a boom in second-hand car prices, and I think there's been one taking place over here as well. I don't know. I haven't looked. I ought to probably get a vehicle. I've been without one now for about a year. First time since I was about 21 that I haven't had a car. I've got to watch it. I'll end up becoming all sedentary with a walking stick pretty quickly, although I am walking a great deal, so there are some sort of benefits. It's not as if I've wanted to go anywhere, to be quite honest, recently, although the summer's coming up and I've got family to see up north and all those sorts of things. But I think there's been a boom in prices here. Then this digital lark, right? It's creeping into the way that cars are even sold and managed. So all of these sorts of things that are in the car, like the radio, they're all on subscriptions. It's as if your life is on a subscription. they hit upon the subscription model over the internet because it's really considerably easier or more cost effective to administer subscriptions than it ever was with paperwork. All the phone calls when somebody missed a sub and sending the letters out. That costs quite a bit, sort of chasing your subscribers. Not on the internet, it doesn't. It's cheap as chips, really. It's just a few clicks and it's automated anyway. So there's something, it's just all part of this insidious nonsense, the sort of Ed Millipede world and all this kind of crapola that's going on. So I'm not saying anything new. I'm an echo chamber there for the last couple of minutes. My apologies. But some things I think are worth echoing. And so cars. Anyway, now the topic that you were covering on Monday, which I inadvertently got dragged into, but quite enjoyed myself as well. It ended up of like you were running your little vote, weren't you?
That's right. Do you want to hear the outcome of the vote?
I do. Let everybody know, because they might not have caught your show. So just tell them, if you give set the scene, if you want to set the scene for what the vote was about.
It didn't actually start out the way it was going to go. We was going to go looking into esoteric matters, and suddenly we spun off into pro or anti-government. Do we need a government, or do we not need a government? And it was interesting because you were sort of agreeing with Steve a lot of what he was saying, and so I did this little vote, and you may have seen it on, and it's still up. You can still vote on it. You may see it on I posted it on your Telegram channel, Paul. So it's Paul English Chat, and I posted it on my own, and I'm waffling here whilst I find the bloody thing. So here we go. No, I haven't found it yet. It's surprising how things move on. Right, now where are we? And it came out as and also Patrick's done one as well. So we'll do my one and we do Patrick's one when I find my one, which is somewhere. It's surprising how much I've posted since it went on. Could you just bear with me one moment?
Yeah, shall I sing a song?
You could sing a song.
Keep the listeners entertained. If I could sing a song, I would. Yeah.
It's got to be here somewhere.
Well.
Here it is. Right. Are you pro or anti having a government? Ready? Roll of drum.
Hey, actually, hang on. Just a minute. Roll of drums. I think I might. Have I got one? I might have a roll of drums. I might have one. Just a minute.
Now, friends, here it comes.
I've got a bounce. Oh, yeah. Here we go. You ready?
Ready?
There you go.
Right. I like that. And now I'm going to do a Huey Green voice. Now, friends, vote, vote, vote. Are you pro or anti-government? And you could vote yes, we need government. No, we don't need government. So what way do you think the vote went before I announce the actual percentage? And there's 41 people have so far voted in it.
Hey, that's quite a few. That's a good response, isn't it? Out of a few hundred. That's pretty good. Yeah, that's good.
And it's going to be open till Sunday, so you can still vote on it. Vote, 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 friends. And the vote goes, yes, we need a government, or no, we don't need a government. It was yes, we do need government is 12%, and no, we don't need a government 88%.
Well, that's ruined tonight's show.
And Patrick's done one. He's done a bloody good poll, and he's done one, and I've just got to find that. And come on, Patrick, where's your poll? There it is. And he's said, which nations are the biggest threats to world peace? Okay. Mm-hmm. Are you ready for this? And so far, he's got 81 votes, which is almost double mine. Brazil, Russia, India, China, United States, Israel, Iran, Saudi Arabia, Nigeria, Australia, Germany, France. And there's one particular country that's almost off the scale.
I couldn't possibly. Are the Eskimos? Are they not down on that list because they're lethal?
No.
Those whale blubber guys. They're not on there.
And
you see, they always get missed off.
Britain's not on there.
No,
well,
there is that.
It's come out.
Yeah.
It's Australia is 1%, and Iran is 1%.
Yep.
Saudi Arabia is 3%.
Yeah.
Germany is 2%.
Oof.
France is 6%. China is 12%. Russia is 2%. India is 19%. And now we come to the last two. Are you ready?
Yeah, do you want it again? No, because I've just found the button.
Yeah,
so
why
let's
not? Do it again.
You ready?
Yeah. Ready?
Oh, where's it gone? Come on.
Oh. That's it. Got the bongo drums. It is the United States at 48% and Israel at 85%.
We couldn't possibly comment. We couldn't possibly comment on that.
No,
that's unfortunate, isn't it?
That's anti-semolina, isn't it? It's anti-semolina, definitely. That one is.
It is. It's an antiseptic poll, and not to be trusted.
Yes, very.
I don't
antiseptic.
believe it. I don't believe it at all. No, it's to be dismissed.
No,
You can't.
That's right.
Bring that to everybody's attention.
Yes.
Actually, mentioning Telegram as well. This is just another diversionary little loop in my head. I know we've got everybody chatting here in the Rumble chat and the YouTube chat. But I was wondering, I'm not going to do it now, although you could do it, whether my Telegram group, PEL chat, I think it is. I think it's full English chat or something. Anyway, you can get to it from paulenglishlive.com. Whether we should have that up and running during the shows, because it would be a sort of universal chat for everybody. Of course, if you don't use Telegram, you're going to go, forget that. And it's not that I'm not going to stop the chats in Rumble and YouTube. Far from it. They're fantastic. But, yeah, it might be good. I quite like Telegram. I've been mucking about, actually, with
Telegram.
I've been mucking about with sending the show. I'm not doing it tonight, but with sending the show live into Telegram, and the sound quality, if you set it up right, is pretty good. It's pretty dang, and you can actually run a radio station for all of you budding radio station managers out there. I know that's most of you. You can run it 24/7 with unlimited listeners. So it's worth bearing in mind. I've bought it in mind because the cost, again, is that very appealing price of $0. This means, of course, that you are the product. But seeing as how we've already been productized up to the hill, I don't see what difference it's going to make now. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, I might push that in the weeks to come. We might I might do a blast in Telegram on the day of the show or shows. And if people want to sort of comment in that, I know it's for really sort of archival things or news around the spaces. One thing, by the way, Eric, that I've heard today, but I have literally got no information on and haven't had chance, nor have I really had the urge to look, though I suspect it's going to be, it might loom large, is apparently this chap called Prince Andrew has been arrested. Have you heard about this today, apparently?
Yes.
Yeah. Do you have it? Have you got the skinny? Have you got any more information on that? I'm all keen.
All I heard
gossip. I love it.
Yes, I heard that he's been arrested and he's having a fun time with the police. Oh, sorry, I don't know about that one, but no, he's he's been arrested allegedly, unless it's a lookalike or whatever. Yes, he was arrested this afternoon. They probably told him they're coming along, and yes, I wonder if he's going to do a Jeffrey Epstein. And where a lookalike sort of takes his place. Who knows?
Yeah,
but it's going to be interesting. Allegedly, we don't know for sure. Allegedly, but I'm wondering if it's just a little bit of showmanship, and they're going to release him and say we can't bring charges because there's no real evidence. That's
I don't know. I don't know quite what's going on, but I guess that's all part of it, isn't it? So that there's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Things are all taking place. I did see. I don't think I mentioned it last week. I saw a clip of Joe Rogan earlier this week. Those little short things. I don't sit around watching Joe Rogan. I'm not against the guy. There's been some really good interviews on there, and he is what he is. And like they say, if you know their name, they're in the game. Probably,
right.
Possibly, to some degree, or at least there's pressure can be applied to them so that they don't stray off the communications reservation too strongly. But there was a really a very interesting clip of him being genuinely emotional. I don't mean frothing and ranting and raving. Just he looked and sounded hurt. And what he was saying was, he said, this stuff, all of this Epstein stuff, he said he finds it really distressing. He said, I just don't like it.
Cheers.
And I think to a degree, this is probably because, although I'm not familiar with his entire guest list, I think some of these people that are on these lists he's interviewed, they've been part of the show. I even heard some very dodgy stuff about Musk on one thing where he was basically writing to Epstein saying, can you get me to one of the wild parties? Seriously. I mean,
Really?
Yeah.
That is quite something. But there's something that I often bring up, and people don't realise this. And I know I'm going back into history, and I'm usually banging on about my, World War II, World War One, and that is why this country, I believe, was the only one. I could be wrong, but I believe it was the only country that evacuated children from cities at a time in 1940 when the rail network was badly needed by the military, and many children went missing, never to be seen again. I think that's rather suspicious, because no other countries that I know of actually evacuated children from the cities. We did. And why did they tie up that rail network when it was so badly needed by the military? It just seems very strange to me.
I know.
And nobody's got into it. And some of the children were treated like slaves. Some of them were treated very, very well. I know my auntie and her brother were. And I worked with a bloke who thought he'd died and gone to heaven because he was evacuated to Suffolk at the bottom of an American Air Force base, and he had flying fortresses. And he was a aircraft enthusiast, flying fortresses flying over his bedroom every night. He loved it, It was fantastic.
Yeah.
So, but the thing is, with this child abuse, it's been going on for millennia, and I feel not only for the victims nowadays, but the past victims, where people didn't believe them. That must have been horrendous, because years ago, they'd say, "Oh no, surely no." If somebody said there'd been something had happened between them and royalty, people just wouldn't believe them. But they can now. So I just feel for the poor souls that died in absolute mental torture because of that.
Yeah, it's the victims of all this kind of stuff. Everybody's too much is, don't cast aspersions on certain groups that you think have done it. No, it's not about them, frankly. It's about the people that have suffered a great deal at the hands of all this stuff.
That's
right. With regards to the fair and happy prince, Alice Gorgeous writes, if he's really been arrested, I'll eat my hat. What, another one? You're going to get tubby on all those hats, Alice. You can't eat too many hats. Hopefully not a bowler hat. Right. They're pretty hard to chew through, but yeah.
Yeah, bit crunchy.
Absolutely. I just mention it because, we like showbiz around here. We love it. We love to talk about showbiz and celebrities and all that kind of distractive stuff.
Lovies.
Lovies. Oh, we do. Lovies. We love them. We love the lovies, don't we? We think they're great. Truth Over Lies says, no doubt he's guilty, but they're using him as deflection for even greater crimes committed by other higher-ups. Yes, I think that's definitely the case. He's a bit of a diversion to some degree, although you never can tell. It might turn out to be really, really bad. He's never come across as being sort of this, that, has been a great guy, has he? Apparently he did reasonably brave things in the Falklands conflict. Wasn't he involved in that? I don't know. I think he was in his 20s or something.
I don't know. He was a helicopter pilot.
That's a long time past, though. That's 40 years back. And, so a lot of whatever under the bridge and all that kind of stuff. More chance of me going to the moon than him getting arrested. Well, Truth Over Lies, if we get one of these balloons, maybe we could get you to the moon. Although it's impossible to get there, apparently, even though the Apollo people would like to have us believe that they did. Yes.
Yes. And, nice fairy story. I think nice. It is well filmed. Yeah, very nice fairy story, but that's about all it is.
Absolutely.
A bovine excrement, I think, is the politest way of calling it. But no, I think this Jeffrey Epstein thing, I think it's going to be used as a misdirection for this Iran war, because they reckon it's within a matter of hours now that their attack might be launched. America. That's according to the so-called experts, in inverted commas. But they've been saying that for weeks, haven't they?
There's an unbridled... There's no restraint on the people at the top, he said, stating the bleeding obvious. But there appears to not be. There's the pretense of restraint. There's the imaginary white knights, who I hope are not imaginary, but at the moment I've got nothing else to really base it on. You don't see anything. Not as if I'm owed that. It's nobody else's job to actually sort my life out, frankly, even though I wouldn't mind. That'd be it clues all of us, I suppose, if we could get that sorted out. But Yeah, I think I don't. It's difficult to know what to say really. But was it last week that we were Did we talk about this in a bit last week? I can't remember what I've talked about. Actually, I've had such a busy day. I can't remember what I've talked about anyway. Ever now, I've been talking so much.
Yeah.
Well, this whole thing, what has happened, I think, to some degree, if we look at, say, these last 6 years, you had the COVID thing, which sent a shockwave through people, and you got, sort of broadly speaking, a division. You got people who instantly knew that this was complete hokum from start to finish. You got a lot of people who subscribed to it full on and almost doubled down on it, and then they became hostile toward you for not wearing a mask or whatever you were not doing. Yes. You non-complying, reckless fool. You're endangering our lives. You know, I remember some of those tweets from Piers Morgan, that, you know, font of wisdom, absolutely, you know, really inciting violence against people that would not comply with what has now turned out to be, in fact, it turned out to be that instantly for those of us that were aware of it, but complete nonsense, just a hostile thing, a very, very dangerous thing that was being done.
A clot shot.
Yeah.
And my neighbour until... Yeah, sorry, I was going to...
Please.
Cut in there, but my neighbour, who's just... he's just recently... It's only in the last couple of months that he stopped wearing a mask on his own in his car, and he has a PCR test every day to test whether he's got it. Mm-hmm. And absolutely mental. And, you know, I saw him about 6 months ago, and he said, I'll stand away from you because I've had my PCR test this morning and I think I've got COVID. So I said, have you? Oh, okay. I said, well, fair enough, you know. And he looked absolutely terrified, white as a sheet. Mm-hmm. And that's what it did. It was military grade brainwashing, and it was done very, very well. They managed to brainwash most people, but as far as I know, all my friends never had it at the clot shot. I don't know at all, but my neighbours, I think most of them did. I guess, is it the same for you, Paul?
Yeah. Most of them did. Well, I tell you, it now this bit, you know, all the clapping for the NHS thing.
Oh, that crap, yeah.
Oh, dear. Oh, that was...
That was painful.
Yeah, it was. It was. There was something... It was like... what's that thing? The Midwich Cuckoos thing? That sort of... Is it that I'm thinking of? This sort of glazed over... You know, or the Wicker Man, those conditioned people in the village. It was a bit like that. I'm thinking, are they going to burn me now? You know, heretic. Well, all this kind of stuff. You could see these ancient themes running in people's bones. It's unsettling.
It really is. And they say that in times of civil war or shortages, the person you've got to be most frightened of is your neighbours. Because if they know you've got stocks of food, they'll be after it.
I've mentioned this to loads of people.
Against your neighbours.
Yeah.
Yeah. Your neighbours are dangerous.
Absolutely.
And very, very dangerous. And if I was a little bit of advice, you can get drain pipes with
what, trousers
on them. Trousers, yes, but I mean,
become a teddy boy and scare them that way.
You could become a teddy boy, and that might frighten them. But no, actually, you get drain pipes with and seal them. And dig your garden and put some tins buried in your garden.
I remember that Kenny Everett joke about teddy boys. My mates all say my shoes are crepe, but I think they're quite good, actually. I like that.
With Sid Snot.
Yeah,
Sid Snot, wasn't it?
It was Sid Snot, yeah. My shoes are crepe, but my mates say they're crepe, but I think they're quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But actually, it's like ambulances. You know, jab cabs. That's what we call them now, jab cabs. Mm-hmm. The amount of ambulances I see now, or jab cabs I see now, is phenomenal. And other people have noticed this. Once upon a time, you rarely saw an ambulance when you went out. Now it's rare that you don't see an ambulance. So there's something definitely going on. And I think the population is dropping quite substantially. And, you know... And, well, they say it causes heart problems and high blood pressure. My neighbours have got heart problems and high blood pressure. Yep. Slap my thigh, isn't that amazing? Anyway, Paul, sorry, I did chime in then.
No, it's all good stuff, really, because I just think that the footprint of awareness has increased massively over over these two events. There's probably been more that we've all forgotten, like the destruction of that place in Hawaii and all those blue roofs. I was thinking, I think I mentioned before, I was thinking of doing a memory hole chart. And this applies to all of us. There's these sort of supposedly huge events, and they are, I suppose. If you're involved in them or you lose your life, well, you wouldn't know about it if you lose your life. But the people that are left around afterwards, their lives get hammered by it. And yet they just keep going. And I thought maybe, top memory hole chart. Maybe you need to keep one. Do you remember this? And do it every 3 months. What's happened in the last 3 months that you've all forgotten about, including me. There's too many events and factoids, as it were, going on, and you end up with a cluttered mind. You can't actually get anything done. But I think that these two events, the COVID thing and the Epstein thing, have widened the footprint. And just going back to Joe Rogan, it was as if, and I don't think he's alone in this, certain people within that sort of media shield wall that they've built around them, it's dawning on them that what appeared to be this crazed idea that the world is run by paedophiles and child sacrificers and worse, child murderers, is beginning to be countenanced. They're considering it, and they're considering it and not liking it, which is a sign of good health. You wouldn't like it. Why would you like that? Why would you think that this is okay? But the idea is to sort of condition the masses that this is acceptable or something like that. But it's spread out. And then they realize that they've been interviewing people who are now named in these documents. Now, whether this will lead to anything or not, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. And me saying that is pathetic because it's as if I can't do anything about it. Well, I suppose we could, but we're likely to lose our lives or our liberty or our freedom if we engage in such things, because currently we're outgunned in that realm. We're not outgunned, I think, in the realm of popular spirit and appeal. I think that's so... unfortunately, although I'm not a patient man, really, I do begin to see that sometimes it is the best policy is to just be stoic, be calm, and stay strong with the whole thing for as long as you are able to do so until, I guess if it arrives on your door, then you've got a different problem. So, but altogether.
I actually think these paedophiles and nonsense and that, they are a different breed. They're not human. They're not quite human. Because all they think of is self-pleasure. They couldn't give a damn about the victim. It's they're pleasuring for themselves. And okay, you could say that narcissistic. No, because no normal human being would want to get up to the capers that they get up to. It's vile. So I actually do think they are a separate breed, and as such, you just put them on an island on their own where they can do whatever they want to each other. That's it.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a sort of cumulative effect of Acton's phrase that, that power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. They've got so much, they've had so much wealth. They haven't, in the main, as far as I can see, had to deal with the sort of challenges that ordinary people have to deal with at all. So there's nothing sort of... there's not been a bridle on them. They've not been restricted. And I suspect to some degree they achieve or think they've achieved all these things, although it may feel quite hollow for them because they had such a colossal leg up, like their mates ran the central banking system. So they literally have access to unlimited financial resources to do whatever it is that they're told to do whilst they head up an industry and look good in the press. And they get, there's something about the energy of children for some sick, deranged reason, although I kind of can see where it's coming from, that draws them in. I mean, apparently I heard that there's footage or pictures of Epstein chasing children around gardens as if this is a great fun thing. I'd like to think that that's all that happened, but they get carried away. It's something about the extension of power that they hit the limits of what you and I would think are possible, and then they want more because they're habituated to it. And then it becomes power over the lives of others and then the ruination of them. They seem to get some... Obviously, it's a perverted kick out of this sort of thing.
Yes, but I don't think that they're not normal. I mean...
They're not. I think you're right. They're not normal.
To be attracted to children and have sex with them, I mean, it makes me feel sick. It really does. It's vile.
It is.
That's a vile mindset. And as I said earlier, I feel sorry for the victims who were never believed years ago, who died in absolute... Their minds have been screwed up by these people. And I'm glad it's coming out now. I really am. But I think we're only seeing the tip of the iceberg. I really do, because I believe that those in control have been doing this for ages. And someone said that the ancient pharaohs never left. They just reinvented themselves.
I think we can... did we touch upon this theme last week? You've got to give us a shout out in chat if we did, because I've still been thinking about this one a lot and having a sort of seeing things in sharper detail. But we've just come up to the end of the first hour. It's just gone 9 o'clock, so I'm a little bit tardy with this. I stumbled across this thing that apparently, according to the register here on my system, says I played 2 years ago. It's a very silly song. And it was created by... Pale, who probably is not listening to the show, of course, with a nickname like that, which is ridiculous, spelled P-A-L-E, whereas it should be P-A-I-L, I think, as in a pail of water. But I don't know. Anyway, he knocked this up a few years ago. It's very silly, and so I'm going to play it. It's an alien country and western song. How about that? You know, a really popular genre.
Whoa, that sounds interesting. Yeah,
it's really good. It's very silly. The lyrics are incredibly stupid and silly, but I couldn't find anything else in the moment. I've got a few more things lined up. We're going to play this. We'll be back after this on the other side of this little song.
I crashed my UFO, feeling lonely and blue. More blue than ordinary. Try to rope a steer, but it just won't do. Cows can't fly me out of here. I'm a reptiloid cowboy, living in a human world. Oh, I'm a reptiloid cowboy, living in a human world. Trying to make my way home, but my spaceship's uncurled. These scales are shiny bright. My eyes glow in the night. But no one wants to be friends, 'cause they think I'm not right. I met a lizard lady with scales so fine and green. She said she'd love me if I'd just stop probing her kin. But it's hard to change when it's just part of my way. Now she's gone and I'm left here to ride the lonely day. Oh, I'm a reptiloid cowboy, living in a human world. Trying to make my way home, but my spaceship's uncurled. My scales are shiny bright. My eyes glow in the night. But no one wants to be friends, 'cause they think I'm not right. I tried to ride fences, a cowboy should do, and the cattle got spooked too. The rancher said I'm trouble, and I've got to go away. Oh dear, brother bubbly. Now I'm left here with nothing but this lonely reptiloid's way. Oh, I'm a reptiloid cowboy in a human world, trying to get home, but my spaceship's uncurled. My scales are shiny bright, my eyes glow in the night, but no one wants to be friends, 'cause they think I'm not right.
Attention all listeners. Are you seeking uninterrupted access to WBN 324 Talk Radio despite incoming censorship hurdles? Well, it's a breeze. Just grab and download Opera Browser, then type in WBN324.zil. And stay tuned for unfiltered discussions around the clock. That's WBN324.zil.
The views, opinions and content of the show hosts and their guests appearing on the World Broadcasting Network are their own and do not necessarily reflect those of its owners, partners and other hosts or this network. Thank you for listening to WBN 324 Talk Radio.
And welcome back. It's hour 2, just gone 9:05 here in jolly old England. That means it's 4:05 in even jollier, I suspect, US Eastern time zones. And we are joined by a guest that was here a couple of weeks ago. Gary, welcome to the show. How are you?
Producer Paul, I'm all right. I'm
Producer
chuffed
Paul.
to be back, mate. Yes, all right.
Hello, Gary.
Chuffed to be back. Hello, mate. How's it going?
Mustn't grumble.
You've been sending me some very interesting little messages, and you've been very busy since we last spoke 2 weeks ago, although of course, we should have spoken a few days ago, which was very funny.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's all right. It's fine. Mark made a mess. I was telling everybody earlier, Mark made a wonderful mess on Tuesday in that he was producing his own show. He became a self-producer. Producer Paul. I quite like that. It sounds awfully grand. What do you think, Eric? Do you want to be known as Producer Eric? It's quite good, isn't it?
That sounds good, doesn't it? Yes, you give me an ego trip.
Yeah. Anyway, Mark inadvertently, in his own setup, went into his own wrong studio. So he sends me a message and he said, I can't see anybody. I'm going, you're in the wrong place, mate. It's like somebody going to the wrong pub. We're all down here at the other one. It was very funny. Yeah. But
I went to the wrong...
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, carry on.
I
went to the wrong funeral once.
Did
Seriously?
you? Yeah?
Yes. I went to my auntie's funeral that was up in Bedfordshire. I got a bit late, you see.
Yeah.
And I went in, and of course everybody's facing the front. You see, and I went into the sort of chat, and I was standing there, and I sort of started, I made a seat, and the vicar's going on, and I thought, because all we could see is the backs of heads. And then he said something about and Fred, or I can't remember the name, Fred or Peter. I thought, hang on a minute, that's a male name. And I suddenly realised I was sitting in the wrong funeral.
Oh, it's happened to us all. Well, actually, it hasn't happened to anybody. It's never happened to me, but it's happened to you. So there's always one.
Yeah,
well done, Eric.
Me, yeah.
Excellent. Yes. Did you know the deceased? No, actually, I'm in the wrong place.
I saw a few people look around. I thought, well, my auntie had a lot of friends here. I saw a couple of people look around. I thought, oh, probably her friends, And I sat there,
Who the hell are you?
I was there for about 10 minutes before
you. Brilliant.
I was there for about 10 minutes before I realised it was the wrong one.
Well, at least you were sad for someone that day. That was good. You turned up. But anyway, Gary, just coming up. These messages you've been sending. You've been a busy lad, haven't you? The last 10 days. What have you been up to?
Well, it's even though we're on Food for Thought Radio, those who are in the know call me a conspiracy theorist. I think we're in a war. So this is all part of the war effort. Hence, one of the most important parts of a war is making sure that we've got, food security in our country, making sure that we can remain a sovereign nation and not be dependent on the puppet masters of the world cabal and the elite and all that. So that's why I'm busy.
This is good. Yeah, no. And you just did something the other day that's had quite a bit of traction, didn't you? You were sending me some messages, like a lot of traction. Is that the most traction you ever had from anything?
Yeah, certainly like that. But I think what it was the production behind it, it was the soundtrack, and it was also the information that I was giving on the platform that we were on as well. Yeah. It just seemed to be one of those. Well, it just seemed to be we sort of found a market where people, because they don't know where to go, because the situation that we're in right now is completely unprecedented. People literally just don't know what to do. And like when I first really started thinking, oh my goodness me, like we're really going to have to do something, I didn't know where to start. I had no clue. So I thought, right, well, the first thing I'm going to have to do is sort of jump in the deep end and challenge a speeding fine. Because I knew they weren't right. I was just like, they can't just like demand, funds from me.
Yeah.
Just because I was doing 33 in a 30. I was like, this is absolutely ridiculous. There's got to be something wrong here. This isn't right. And so I sort of basically raised up my flag and I said, look, this is the situation I'm in. Can anybody help me? And it sort of snowballed from there. And now, and I guess what a lot of people find interesting is the fact that they also want to know this, because a speed camera cannot put a claim in against you. And if there's no claimant, there's no claim, end of. So if there was no witness to this and you're just simply going off a picture on a speed camera, well, that's hearsay. And anybody else who's getting involved in that is a third-party interloper. They've got no claim on you whatsoever. So there's no claim, and there's no claim, there's no claimant, and there's no contract. And plus the fact, no fines or forfeitures without conviction from a jury of peers and due process, which was in the Bill of Rights 1688 and upheld in the UK Supreme Court in the Metric Martyrs case in 2002, where the Supreme Court held up that line in the Bill of Rights when Sunderland City Council tried to fine the shopkeepers for not listing the items in their shop window using the metric system, because they were still using pounds and ounces. And the shopkeepers were just like, you cannot fine us for listing items in our window in a way that you don't want us to. This is absolutely outrageous. So that's why they called it the Metric Martyrs, because they were like, this is the hill we die on.
I remember that.
This is tyranny coming in. Yeah.
What year was that?
Massive.
Do you know what year that was? I do remember it.
Yeah,
when is that?
2002.
Was it really?
2002.
That's more recent than
Yeah.
I thought. I thought it was in the 90s or something. Yeah, that's...
Well, it was more than 20 years ago now, mate. 2 decades ago.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. Well, this century is just weird to me. It's like just got started. Ever since it went from 19 to 20, I've been lost, frankly. I'm like a gimmer. I've just sort of gone,
really?
Well, that doesn't look right. It doesn't sound as good either, 19, 18, 17, 63. All was good. It's going in a nice rhythm. Why couldn't it have been 20 or something? It would have been better. I'd have probably adapted a bit better. I don't know. Of course, I am an imperial measurement guy. I just think they're superior to metric, although some scientist guy pointed out to me, he said, well, it would bugger science up because you've got all this sort of correlation between meters and tons and all this, that, and the other. I went, grudgingly, I sort of had to agree that he was right. But I the inch is just, I like the inch. It's good, isn't it? I know if you tell me what an inch is, I know what you're talking about. You tell me about a centimetre, going, that's sort of less than half of an inch or something. And that's such long, clumsy words. And imperial just sounds so much better than metric. I mean, metric's just digital as a word, isn't it? It's all sort of tinny and plasticky. Imperial's all woody and lovely and warm and great. And it gives you a good feeling. Yeah, but I'm sad. I've got sad...
It's like in the 60s. This is serious. It came over live on the radio. There was an interviewer sort of talking to people and in the street, and it was like a tourist program. I think it's a holiday program, and it was in London. And they went up to this American woman, and they said, "Why are you here, madam?" And she said, "I'm here on my honeymoon." And he said, "Are you enjoying it?" She said, "I'm enjoying every inch of it." And that's what she said live on the
right
on the internet. And
You're not trying to lower the tone, Eric, are you?
No, they said that in the 60s, and there's also well, you could enjoy every inch of looking at a Tower Bridge, couldn't you? You think it's a very nice structure. Mm-hmm. Perhaps that's what she meant.
Oh, perhaps
we're thinking of it's people with dirty minds. You see, we've got to think clean minds. She's probably
We're surrounded by so much filth these days, Eric, that it kind of rubs off on you. It's terrible. I do agree.
It is, isn't it? Yeah.
I absolutely agree.
Eric?
Yeah.
Eric, accusing other people of having dirty minds after you tell a joke. That ship sailed and it sunk just off the end of the
pier. He does have a point, Eric.
He does, doesn't he?
He does. He's slightly got a point there.
Yes.
But... So this speeding thing, Gary, what year, how long ago was that? How many years back is that?
Oh, that might have been 2021.
Right,
so
okay.
It was like we had the first lockdown in 2020. And that's when I was just like, whoa, hold on a minute. They are somehow circumventing the Nuremberg Code, which prevents people which is meant to prevent people from using experimental, substances on one another in an official capacity, at least anyway. So I was like, there is something seriously wrong here, because I knew all about informed consent. And so one of the reasons I challenged this was just because they spelt my name wrong. So I was just like, well, immediately that's my get out of jail free card. So I thought, right, well, I don't really think I've got too much to lose here, because that's not me.
Yeah.
They've and I knew that any mistake on the form completely null and voided it, because it's just like, well, who are you trying to prosecute? So I was just like, well, I can prove that's not me. So therefore, I'm not effectively a party to this, but they're still going to try it on with me. So I was just like, okay, well, let's sort of see what happens. And that's where I sort of first had a lot of people trying to explain to me, what was going on. And I had no idea about sort of how bad things were back then. But the reason I challenged it is just because, one, obviously there was the Nuremberg Code, but then also what I knew about the financial system and what happened in 2017, that was really my wake-up call. I was just like, hold on a minute, what if there is a nefarious entity in control of the central banking system?
No.
How much trouble would we be in?
Oh, dear. Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be bad, wouldn't it? It's a good job that's not true.
Yeah.
Phew.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, I knew the financial system was corrupt. So then I was just like, right, well, I somehow need to gather all the knowledge that I've got in finance about the legal profession. I was just like, where do I start? But it just so happens that in all these, over these years, whether we've just got to thank the lucky stars in the universe, I've actually met people who have told me everything and more, literally, about how they've converted us under maritime jurisdiction through illegal conversion into the Mr. and Mrs. maritime jurisdiction, removing all of our God-given rights because they believe in cosmic karma and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I mentioned this before, but everything happened in 1971. You've got the rebranding of the Club of Rome to the World Economic Forum. You've got the Nixon shock on the 15th of August, 1971. And then you had the release of FCO 30/1048 on the 1st of July, 1971, which corrupted the political system and the legal system. So now we know where it all happened.
It was a pretty important year, yeah. I mean, it was also, although this is trivia, it was the year that I passed my 11 plus, so it was pretty important for me. I ended up going to a jolly good school where we played rugger and all the teachers wore capes and mortarboards. I'm serious, they did. It wasn't a private school or anything like that, but no, it is. It's quite a pivotal year. Were you aware of all this stuff prior to your speeding moment? I mean, were you educated in finance before, in a general way, or have you just been propelled over the last 4 or 5 years into this sort of new knowledge base?
So with the finance, obviously, I knew about the Bretton Woods Agreement and I knew about the Nixon shock. And I knew that not many other people did. But again, I never really spoke about this when I was down in the pub with my friends, because they were just like, yes, so. Yeah, it was just something. It was just something that I was interested in.
What's your point, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but I'd never, more useless knowledge. Nice one, Gaz. So
I've heard a few things like that in my time. Yeah. What are you banging on about, Gary? Will you put a sock in it? Yeah, it's football's on TV.
Pretty much.
Come on.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like.
Yep.
So, I knew about that. But obviously, having dug into more details of it, that's when because I knew what was happening. I mean, I knew that the gold was being confiscated from Russia. I didn't know about the Balfour Declaration. That was obviously something new. I was like, oh, well, that fits as well. But I obviously knew about the Nazi gold trains in Europe. But I didn't know that Hitler was funded by the U.S. corporations. But I did know that he was supplied the petrol ethyl lead to prevent knocking in the Luftwaffe engines so they could carry on. And I was like, hold on a minute. He's being funded by huge corporations here, and they're meant to be on our side. Like, what on earth is going on? And obviously now everything makes sense. But at the time,
you can't have a brothers' war if the sides are unequally equipped. They've got to be reasonably closely equipped so that they both feel they can win, and then you can get them to kill each other. It's definitely been a part of it.
Yeah.
And it's the same institutions funding them from different ends. We'll fund enemy A and you can fund enemy B, okay? And it doesn't matter what happens because we come out streets ahead. Really? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And also, I always thought there was something fishy about Pearl Harbor. You know, I didn't get it. I was like, hold on a minute. This makes. I was like, this is absolute suicide. You know, going up against the US. Why on earth would you literally bomb a US target to specifically bring them into the war? Yeah, they're a massive superpower. Surely you would just leave them. And now we know that Pearl Harbor was the double cross. They're all in on it. They knew exactly what they were doing. Pearl Harbor was the double cross, which gave the Americans the excuse to come into the war, stab Hitler in the back, and all that kind of stuff. And you know, now it's just like, whoa. You know, like how, and again, like Rockefeller said in his secret covenant, an illusion it will be, so large, so vast, it will escape their perception.
Not anymore, though. It's not escaped the perception of an ever-growing number, has it? I think it hasn't. I think there's always been people that know. I mean, I think in the Pearl Harbor thing as well, wasn't there I think it's Dutch. I might have got the nation wrong. There was a submarine. I think it was a Dutch submarine that detected the whole of the buildup of the Japanese forces and was sending messages to the Americans. This would have interfered with the story that had to be told. So that Dutch submarine was blown up by the Americans. They've got rid of it because its narrative and a record of its transmissions would have revealed that the whole thing was pre-planned. And of course, the other thing about Pearl Harbor is that most of those ships that were in there were knackered things from World War I. They moved the actual main fleet out, all the good modern ships. They got them out. They wanted enough death to actually, of course, outrage the American population, which they were, understandably. 3,500 men blown to bits for no good reason. Well, for a very good reason from their point of view. So there was that aspect to it as well. Yeah, I mean, it is wonky. There's also the pressure that they put on Japan intentionally to seize up their oil supplies. There's another thing as well. I don't know if you know about the gold stuff. We've talked about this before. Like the amount of gold that there is in the world, which is like nuts. I think it's absolutely, there's probably just nuts amounts of it. Who was that? There was the Austrian Chancellor was in the, I've forgotten his name now. He was there in the 60s. His name's just run out of my head. He was in charge of gold measurement and stuff. There's lots of his documents showing just how much gold they had floating around at the time, which sort of dwarfed what was claimed in public circles. But towards the end of Japan, I think, knew that the minute they struck Pearl Harbor, they were going to lose the war. It was just a matter of logistics. You know, if you work it all out, you go, we've got this amount of stuff. They've got 5 times the amount of stuff, and it's growing quicker than ours. We've got X number of years, and then we're toast, you know, which is basically what happened. And there's a guy called, I've been trying to find him as well, David Guyat. He's an Englishman, used to work in the city. He's in hiding, or he's lying low for some time. And he wrote a whole series of articles for Nexus magazine. You ever seen any copies of that? It's not as out and about as it used to be, but it was like a conspiracy magazine, an alternative information magazine that used to be sold by W.H. Smiths. It was fantastic. W.H. Smith sold it in the 90s. You could just go to the newsstand and buy it every 2 months from Australia. Duncan Rhodes, I think, was the guy that was the editor. Probably still is.
Marcus, he still is. Marcus Allen, unfortunately, I think he passed away about.
He did, yeah. Marcus Allen was the UK distributor, and he sort of championed it. And
I knew him. Yeah,
it was full of
times.
Tremendous stuff, Gary, that you would have enjoyed at the time. It was sort of like pre-internet, that kind of enquiry stuff. It was really rather brilliant, actually, in many ways. They got some very good writers. One of the guys was a guy called David Guyat, and his website's still sitting up there. It's called deepblacklies.co.uk, but you can't get into it anymore. I used to have a pass for it, but this is about 12 or 15 years ago. Guyat worked in the city, knew the score, started to write about it in a particular way, and he wrote a whole book. The Deep Black Lies are to do with the amount of gold. And the gist of the story, in sort of brief form, is Japan began to plan for recovery after the war, almost immediately that the war started. And all the gold that they thieved when they invaded China in the 30s, and it was a lot, they started to send it back. They wanted to get it back to Japan, hide it away, and then 5 or 6 or 8 years later, they'd start to use it to recover and rebuild their industry. That was their plan at the time. But the American 7th Fleet stepped up patrols or whatever, so they ended up having to stop off in the Philippines, which is really rather interesting. because Ferdinand Marcos, and his wife Imelda. This is probably well before your time, but this is a 1970s thing. She's the lady who had 10,000 pairs of shoes or something ludicrous. She couldn't stop buying shoes. This was what they put in the news all the time. We had to pay attention to her shoes. He became very, very important. And the reason is that the Japanese dropped all their gold off in the Philippines in 110 mines. And Guyot had photographs of some of the discoveries. Some of these mines are still sealed up to this day. Though they think there's about half a dozen, maybe a dozen of them left. There was a photograph of one. I mean, it's a horrific thing because they got prisoners of war to dig these mines. Then they buried them alive inside the mines with the gold and blew the entrances up. And so they all died in that. Yeah, this is just nasty stuff. But there was a photograph of one channel of gold. So the passageway would be about a yard high, we'll use imperial measurements, a yard high and about a yard wide. It was literally like maybe a bit higher, a yard wide and about 4 or 5 feet high. And it had these gold ingots in it. I've never seen ingots this big ever. They were enormous. They would be about a foot by 3 foot long. And they were so heavy, they had handles built into the casting so that people could lift them up. And there were hundreds of these things going down this line. Absolutely tons of the stuff. And what happened was that what was the forerunner of the CIA? Was it the OSS? I think it was, before they changed their acronym. They had agents on the island, double agents, as it were, dressed up, I guess, as Filipinos, checking them out all the time. They saw all this gold. They never reported it to the US government because they seized it and used it to fund all their black ops. They needed something off the books. So they knew about it, changed their name to the CIA, and this gold was based. And Guyot wrote all about this with Deep Black Lies. It's an amazing book. It's fantastic. There's an American couple as well who kind of took his material, and they did something about the Japanese gold. Fascinating story, to be quite honest. And the whole gold thing is it's a controlled market, apparently. It's not straight. Who'd have thought that? No. Who'd have thought that?
I had heard something similar about that, but yeah, I'm glad you reminded me. Yeah, I knew they buried it somewhere. I couldn't remember where, but yeah, Philippines.
Yeah,
Gee.
yeah. And I saw an interview. I can't remember who it was. If I saw her face, I'd probably remember her name. An American researcher at the moment. She was talking to someone about a year back. I don't know whether I'm really going for all of this, but you know, this technology, this sort of deep scan technology where they can see what's in the ground down to huge depths and detect, I don't know what it's called. I've forgotten the name of it. Where they've been checking lots of these islands around the Philippines because there's thousands of them. There's about 8,000 islands. Say that again, Paul?
GPR, ground penetrating radar.
GPR. Cool. Fantastic. Thank you.
Ground penetrating radar.
Yeah. And there's a guy on there talking to her about the amount of gold there is, natural gold, not gold that the Japanese put there, but gold that sits in these islands, in these huge underground chambers. They reckon, he said, this sounds ridiculous, right? They reckon there's over 1 trillion tons of gold across these islands.
What?
Yeah. It's a very revealing interview. He's a financial guy. He'd stepped out of the financial space. He could be a bullshitter, of course. It could be another cover story to get us all going, blah, 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 blah. You've got to sort of bear this in mind. But all of the reports, whenever you see these sort of documents that have been revealed, particularly, I can't remember his bloody name. What was the name of the guy that headed up Austria? Do you remember, Eric? You'd know him. He was a really high German official, Nazi, during the Austrian SS.
Kurt Waldheim.
Kurt Waldheim. That's it. Bingo. Thank you very much.
Well
it was Kurt Waldheim. And it was from his desk. He was in charge of gold shipments. And just one of these documents in Guyot's book showed you that what he was talking about just there was about 3 times greater than all the gold in the world that they said existed. There's just loads of it. Yeah. It's an odd little world. It really is. It's very odd. So
I guess they had to get rid of it in order to bring about their, dollar as a world reserve currency.
I guess to some degree.
That was the whole point. Getting rid of the gold. That's why they never found so many of these Nazi gold trains. Yeah, they just disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Mountains and caves and wherever it was and buried. I mean,
Yeah, we could do with a bit of that, couldn't we? We need to find some nice Nazi gold, everybody. So if you get a lead, let us know, won't you? It might come in useful. If we could lift it up, it's probably too heavy. We couldn't even move it, really. Not in a modern car. They'd probably collapse, wouldn't they, under the weight? But, yeah.
Well, they stole. Do you see the amount of gold they stole from Iraq when they went in there?
Was it quite a bit,
during the war in Iraq? Tons of it. Tons of it. They were even like, because there was so much of it, they used to hide it in these they hide it in jeeps and 4x4s and other sort of military equipment. There's a video of a guy who bought this old sort of desert 4x4 in an auction in Iraq, and when he lifted up the bonnet, he found these gold bullion bars scattered all around the engine, hidden. You know, I mean, there's just loads of it. There's loads and loads. And I personally think the reason they had to get rid of it is because they needed to, pretend there was scarcity, so there wasn't enough gold to actually be used as a money, as a medium of exchange, because they wanted everybody on their Federal Reserve dollar currency.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's scary when you think about what they've done. I mean, this is what really petrifies me as to just how big and insidious their organization already is. Like, we really don't have too many options left, unfortunately.
Well, we don't in their world. No, they've created their world of control. And I suppose, I used to sort of think that you could affect it. But you can't. I think we can, but not in the sort of traditional let's take it on. You can't do that. That's their game. That's what they do. They get rid of opponents in the most brutal way, or whatever way is necessary. We're simply not built like that, and we don't want to be. We would rather retain our souls than sort of acquire billions of dollars or whatever. Whatever condition they're in spiritually doesn't seem to apply, does it? They're quite happy to. It appears that they don't have any sort of qualms whatsoever about this. I mean, the whole, going back to the Babylon thing, the Babylonian thing. There's a guy called an Australian guy. I don't know if he's still alive, but he wrote a book all about Astle was his surname, Astle, about Babylonian banking. It's not a particularly well-written book. It's a bit sort of cumbersome, to be quite honest, a bit sort of overly wordy where it doesn't need to be. And I think it came out in the 90s, and I can't even remember the title of it, but at least I remembered his name. I'm sure you can find it. And he was talking really about... Oh, hang on. There we go. No, that was just me saying that a server had gone. Did you hear the ding dong? Did you all hear the ding dong just then? Yeah, sorry about ding dongs, everybody. They sometimes come through, but it's a good job because I wouldn't have seen it otherwise. So we might have intermittently fallen out there on Rumble and YouTube, but I think we're back. He was saying that this interest idea, the idea of charging interest on loans, really comes from Babylon. This is where it originated. And when these tribes were dragged off there by Nebuchadnezzar and others, I think even prior to that, there were certain temples there that were temples to what we would call the dark gods. And the story goes, this is like in the realm of myth and fable, but it will have some essence of truth, I suspect, is that certain of these tribes that were dragged up there, and there was an intermix of tribes, they weren't all the same people, went in there and found it extremely appealing, let's put it that way, and began to develop this whole idea of controlling people through the employment, if that's the right word, of usury and the levying of interest on loans. And really that is kind of the vice. We talk about it a lot here. We haven't done recently, Eric, have we? But it's an ongoing permanent theme. Yeah. I never mentioned it. He's never said it once, only a million times. But it can't be said often enough. That's right. It can't be said often enough. And these dark gods or the gods in these temples taught them this stuff as a way of controlling people. That's really the essence, isn't it? I think, if we boil it down to a comic book, to some degree, and in terms of, Gary, literally what you're doing right now, and you're not alone in this. I mean, you're obviously your individual path, but everybody's seeking to try and assist one another to get out of the dung. They don't do that. They're in the business of keeping the cattle controlled on the tax ranch, and and they pretend that this is for everybody's good. It's like a great protection racket. We're going to protect you, but you will have to pay for it. In fact, you'll pay so much for it, you won't be protected, but we'll let you find that out later on. It's that kind of, it's a totally different mindset. If it is a mind that's at work, it's it's an evil heart behind it.
Well, we just got to hope that people wake up. You know, I mean, personally, I don't suppose you gents discussed Rupert Lowe, did you, earlier?
No, but I'd like to discuss it. We were discussing him on Eric's show on Monday a little bit. Have you seen, I'm assuming, Gary, you've seen the 7-minute video.
Yes. Yeah. Out of everybody who has got a political party, I mean, I was obviously, you know, on side with Ben Habib and what he was saying. I quite liked that. I fully understood where he was coming from when he was just like, look, you know, what on earth is Nigel doing? Just basically, you know, when, like Albert Pike said, when the people want a leader, we will provide them one. He's just like, all right, then here's a new leader.
Here's Nigel.
Here's all the old people that he didn't want in power back in my party. I was like, what? You've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
You know, so I think Rupert seems to be, he got a great response, you know, and I mean, to be honest,
it's
with
off
you,
the charts.
I'm a bit worried about him.
It's an off the charts response, don't you think?
Yeah.
That video
amazing.
apparently has been seen something like, by now, 45 million times. And this is a political thing, right? And it's reached all around the world, and people have looked, because this is the home country for the West, right? There's no two ways about it, simply because of all those boats, right? 400 or 500 years ago, and the exportation of common law. Lots of good stuff. Everybody will tell us how bad we are, where you can stick it up your backside. I know there was bad stuff. There's bad stuff with everybody, but the amount of good is considerable, and we need to focus on that. And I think I've talked about him in a positive light ever since he formed the thing basically as a media centre, which I thought was an extremely sensible thing to do. But I've watched a couple of the interviews with him over the last couple of days. And he's just, I mean, basically he's repeating the same stuff, but adding a little bit more detail and gloss to the whole story. Obviously, it seems to me one of the key things that he keeps coming back to is all this child rape scandal has really affected him. He spent 2 weeks going through it. And he said it's horrific and it's extensive and it's completely interlinked with effectively a totally corrupted criminal state. And the fact he's also come out and said, and we're taking it, I think you can get a bit blasé about this stuff if you've been in this space for a long time, but you have to stand back and look at what everybody else has ever said. And then he says, basically, the government is the enemy of the people. We've been saying this ever since this show started. I mean, you know, and for years before that. And now that's spreading out. The footprint of seeing that has got much, much wider, even though people would not have the detailed knowledge that you've got and that people here have got. They're going, there's something in this. They feel it in their bones, and that's very, very powerful stuff. Over 70,000 members in the party already after a week. Huge.
Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm not aware of anything like this before. I know we can get very cynical here, and you're right to some degree, because we know a lot of stuff to sort of correct our attitude. But seriously, he's said things that are right, that need to be said. I saw a good one with him yesterday that someone said to him, what about Jeremy Clarkson? And he said, because they're trying to put Clarkson up to stand up in Doncaster, which is where he's from.
Yeah, against Ed Miliband.
Ed Millipede, really? Okay. Yeah. So Millipede's an unbelievably, he's fantastic. You couldn't make Millipede up. He's like Starmer. You just go, what is that? It's absolutely ridiculous. And he said, would you have Clarkson? He said, if he came knocking at my door, I'd welcome him with open arms. He said, he's just the sort of guy that we want in the party. I think that everybody just go for it. We're going to have to go for it, because it really does feel to me like Last Stand. I don't, we were talking about politics the other night. I don't see it as the ultimate panacea. I don't. But I think that this is a step, as a defensive step, as a coordinating step, as a step to pull a lot of people together, and they all look at one another and go, hey, I'm not alone thinking this stuff. It's worked. It's worked on a big way in a week. There's something there. I think so. I do sound a bit optimistic, don't I? Can't help it.
I just wonder. The thing is, I mean, what we need is someone with the knowledge that we've got to get his ear.
There's a job for you, Gary. There's a job for you, because in the interview I saw tonight, just before the show, right, he's talking and he said this. He said, look, because he's about my age. I think he's a bit young. Whatever. He goes, listen, I've been around a bit. I've seen these things. I've got a bit of wisdom. Honestly, that was the gist of it. And he's good. He said, I'm aware of the digital stuff. He said, but there's a lot going on. He said, I've got a young team who are really on the ball with it. He said, we've got to use this stuff. He said, I've got a bigger following on Twitter and these places than the mainstream media. I'm not worried about them anymore. So we just got to use it effectively. He said, we've got to look at all these things, including digital currency. And I went, Gary you need to get in there, mate. Yeah, seriously. Yeah, because, what we talked about when you were here a couple of weeks ago, it's been percolating around in my head. I haven't had much study time, unfortunately, yet, and I'm trying to grab some. I've just got so many other sort of, painfully tiresome things to do, but they are getting done. But it seems to me that if he's, I'm painting a silly comic book picture, if he can address the communication issues at the top, which he is doing brilliantly, in other words, he's raising points that no one dare talk about. Farage is a complete baby. Oh, I think it's terrible that he wants to expel loads of people. No, it isn't. It isn't. It's what the vast majority of the country want. And then he's talking about that. So you come at them from that end, and then the other end is the peasants getting coordinated with their own money. And that's the solution to the economic thing. And I think you need both going on at once. You absolutely do. So, and he's looking for 640 people to stand in elections who are not politicians. I'm going, count me in. Although, I don't know how effective I'd be. But, I'm just completely for that. It's absolutely what everybody knows is needed. And you were just mentioning there about Farage, sucking all those conservative people. Yeah. I don't follow this stuff, but I picked this up in the last sort of 48 hours, drawing them all into his party, and everybody's going, what? These are the arseholes that created it all. What's going on?
Exactly. Yeah, all the horrendously bad decisions during COVID.
Yeah.
That's the last thing that, I don't know any truther who hasn't because there are lots of people that know lots of stuff, but I don't know anybody who, in this movement who isn't aware that COVID was a complete scam. Well, another one of these psyops,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
So
the clock shot.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. Loving that one. Yeah, that's right. A great one.
And the ambulances are jab cabs. You see loads of jab cabs around that.
But those poor clots that took it, if there's an opportunity to draw them back into the healthy field, the healthy pastures, we should take it. You're right to label it that way, Eric, I think, because it's just exhausting, particularly with people that double down on it. We had a moment a couple of months ago at the pub where this guy came in. What was he doubling down on? Oh, climate change. I had to stop talking.
Really?
I stopped listening. Yeah, it was just ridiculous. I work in universities and stuff. I went, oh, you poor sod, right? You've got no chance, because you can't get across them. They're all dependent on a bursary or whatever they're getting, to keep talking this crap.
Well, here's one, right? So this really shocked me. I went to a festival at a private farm last year. And the farmer was awake. Yeah, they all knew that they were being screwed by the government, and they were awake because of COVID and all this kind of stuff. And they had some performers there. I'm singing, and I made the naive assumption that everybody there was awake. Just everybody was there, because I was just like, the farmer's awake. His friends are going to be awake. They all know that the farmers are getting screwed for no reason whatsoever. The farmers know that the soil is being poisoned, because they always take soil samples to make sure how healthy it is. They've all come up with brontium, barium, aluminium, in the soils, affecting the plants and all this kind of stuff. And anyway, this one singer, she was actually quite good. I said, oh, you did really well up there. How do you know the farmer and blah, 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 blah. We got chatting. And then she said, I lecture on psychology. At this particular university. And I was like, oh, fantastic. And I was just like, oh, wow. And actually, somebody who lectures a university in psychology, they're going to be awake to all the propaganda and all this kind of stuff. I was like, this is going to be fantastic. And one of the first things she said to me, oh, the climate change is real. And I was like, what? Literally, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it. She was literally completely swallowed the narrative. And I was like, you are meant to be a psychologist. You are a psychological lecturer at this university, and you've just believed what you've been told gullibly. All you've got to do is look at the basic facts. You look at the when they measured the ice sheets that go right back however many thousand years, to show you the change in temperature, because the ice cores are similar to like rings in a tree. They tell you what has happened, over the centuries and all that kind of stuff. She hadn't even looked at that, and I was like, you're a psychologist. Honestly, I was my jaw hit the floor, but it also enraged me at the same time. Mm-hmm. I was like, so you're a psychologist and you can't tell the propaganda as to what's going on. This is absolutely ridiculous, but that's how they got some people, completely psyoped, especially if they're in their system and they don't want to go against the system, because it's the system that puts food on the table and a roof over their head, and you don't bite the hand that feeds you. But still, I was just like, because in the same way that the flu disappeared, when has the flu just simply disappeared? All the psychologists have disappeared during COVID as well, so they couldn't point out all this psychological manipulation. I was just like, so the psychologists have gone and the flu's disappeared as well. What a coincidence.
It's quite a thing.
And it's Bonhoeffer's theory of stupidity, isn't it, really? Because he said, the more educated they get, the more stupid they are. And these people are really stupid.
They are. They're educated
we talked
idiots.
about that the other week.
We did. It's still
educated twits, yeah.
It's absolutely intelligent idiots. Absolutely. They're not all that way, but because they thrive on their ability to obviously deal with more complex sort of concepts and ideas, and they may be, what we call them, intellectually advanced. This often blinds them to common sense, it seems to me. And they don't. Yeah. In other words, it's not that they're full of answers, which to me is not a very interesting quality. It's the people that ask the really pertinent questions. That's the challenge. It is, what are the right and best questions to ask? And when they get asked in a room and people have not heard them before, you get this effect. You even get it on yourself. If you keep pondering, why am I not questioning right? I've got to question this. It's right in front of me. Questions it's the atom bomb of communication and truth is the question. If it's asked in that right spirit, you go, and people go, bloody hell, I never thought of that before. I go, no, neither did I until about a minute ago. But I'm just looking at this and I'm thinking, that ain't right, you were saying earlier, this instinct that you had, that things aren't right. I've always puzzled over why everybody didn't have that to that degree. Why do they not have it? I don't get it.
I think it's just simply they don't want to deal with the implications of the truth. Because when you think about it, you're like, do you actually want to think that the US military is actually trying to kill you with the weapons that they've got, and that they're not on your side, and that they're not actually protecting you? It's the horror of the scale of the operation and the fact that nobody can see a way out. And to be honest with you, if I didn't know about Bitcoin, I would be in utter despair, because why would anybody take something that I just printed, when everything they print is in circulation, and then they'll do you for counterfeiting, and they control everyone to make sure that you can't suddenly do what they're doing, which is just printing currency from nothing. Even though Statutes of Monopoly 1623 says that all monopolies, or no corporations have got any authority whatsoever. Monopolies are illegal, and also politicians have got no authority whatsoever, because they're public servants. So it's just like, so now you've got the bank, which just simply prints currency from nothing, and they're saying that nobody else can do it, but it's a great business to be in because they print money and people believe it. Well, why can't we all just print our money and people believe it?
Yay!
Exactly.
Count me in. We'll do it. Yeah, well, yours will work just as well. In fact, if it's run in little sort of village groups, it'd run even better. It'd still be wrong, but it would be run better, I suppose. That, the word Bitcoin, of course, it seems, certainly given the conversations I've had with you so far and when you were on the other week, it's almost like a confusing word, isn't it? Because I sense that when you use that word, you're not addressing, you're not talking about the one that everybody knows about. They've got this branding in their head, the BTC on the exchanges that you were talking about last time. This is the one that everybody is. So whenever you talk about it, a sort of speculative gleam comes in everybody's eye. What can I buy some and make more money? That kind of thing, which is how they've got everybody to think about it because of the way that they've manipulated it. And as you said, removed the signatures, the very thing that actually turns it into something distinctly powerful for peasants. They've taken that very thing away. And so we're going to have to come up with a different word. I don't know what it is. You can't, because every time you're going to say, but I mentioned it to some people I was out with the other night, and in very general terms, because that's the only terms I can talk about it in at this time, mentioned BSV. And I said, look, there's a distinct difference. I said, and it sounds boring, and it's meant to sound boring, but it's actually an atom bomb that we can get a hold of. This is the thing that they really, if they don't like it, I'm interested. And I'm very clear that they don't like this, and therefore I need to pay more attention to anything that they don't like. We need to really look at, and lots of customers, they all want to buy some, by the way. They just said, count me in. Yeah. So I've got to have another chat with you about how we actually physically do that, because as I mentioned to you before, the procedure for actually acquiring it is quite multi-layered, isn't it? There's quite a bit to go through to get a hold of something.
Well, it's easy when you know how. Really,
you know
easy.
how.
In fact,
do you know how, Gary?
Of course I do. Of course I do. But this is it. So when I first show people how to do it, people are just like, "Is that it?" I'm like, "Yeah." This is why they're so scared of it. Literally, I onboarded somebody the other day, and it took 30 seconds. Downloaded a wallet, sent him some Bitcoin, boom. And it was just like, is that it? Are you kidding me? I'm like, no, it's that simple. This is why they're running scared. When people get to grips with how simple it is, you suddenly realize how fast this thing can spread. It's literally, what they're trying to do is they're trying to contain it. And they're trying to contain it by creating all these distractions around it, stealing the ticker symbol, creating a shitcoin market. Honestly, when you realize the efforts that they've gone to in order to try and stop this thing from spreading, that's when you realize, you're like, wow, they are actually really running scared of this. With the amount of effort and the amount of effort and time and thought and technology that they've put into this. I mean, it is staggering. They have literally got the best of the best, of their deep state technical team on this to stop this. But ultimately, there isn't actually anything they can do, which is why they've realized the only thing we can do is potentially speed up our plans to install this totalitarian one world government. And hopefully we can do that before people start realizing what Bitcoin really is and start using it as a medium of exchange, because it's completely outside of our control. We've got no control over it whatsoever. And we can't buy it, because
although again we can't call it Bitcoin. We need, and BSV is a right clumsy mouthful, but I'll go with it for now because it's not my shout. But I think, they do that by obscuring terms. This is what they do in the legal world, don't they? Words have got these double meanings. So every time you're saying Bitcoin, it's understandable that the vast majority of people that you speak to will simply associate with whatever news items they've seen about its price. That's the first thing. It used to be 150,000. Now it's 60,000. That's a scam. It's not a scam. This guy's got loads. Have you got some? I've had this question for sort of 10 years. I'm sort of feeling rather smug. I shouldn't, of course. Smugness comes before a fall. But I was saying to somebody the other day, I said, I never, ever really trusted Bitcoin. But what you're talking about, I've got a completely different experience around. And I need to, by the way, I need to book a time in with you for you to onboard me. Right, because I've got a clutch of customers, let's call it, or people that want to start using it. I said, look, this is going to be the new money for buying wonky carrots. That's it. That's the most important thing. It's a wonky carrot, and we all need to be buying wonky carrots and wonky potatoes. And the more that we do that, you can. All this thing about making loads of money, that'll go away. That'll be less of a priority if you're in charge of your own money. And it looks to me like, very much from what you've been saying, that's exactly what this is about. So as I'm slowly spending a bit more time paying attention to it, my interest levels are increasing all the time. And it's looking very promising. Let me put it that. I'm trying to be sort of calm about it. I don't want to get too carried away. I tend to at times. It's looking really rather encouraging, Gary, I have to say. So yeah.
Well, it's good. It's good that the people you've been speaking to want to literally get on board, because literally what we are involved in is a race against time. That's literally it. It is a race against time. Because these are the only outcomes that are available to us. We either have a common money used by the people to then create government that works for the people, or government will create currency to control the people. And that is it. That is it. They're the only choices that we have available to us.
Well, their entire history has been to be involved in currency projects that do exactly what you've just said, to control people with an ever greater vice all the time. They have to keep squeezing people more and more and more to justify what they're doing.
And also to get people to become more compliant, and also to turn people against each other. Because if you're feeling squeezed and you're just like, well, the fittest survives, what they're doing is they're bringing about the tragedy of the commons, where people act in their own self-interest instead of for the community.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and this is actually what Bitcoin will bring about, because rather than the expression sort of making money, which is a very sort of like selfish motivation, in the future, what people will be doing is adding value, because the supply is fixed. So therefore, if the supply is fixed and you can't get any more, what you want to do is add value to it.
Yes.
And so that's what the big sea change will be. But it's a completely new paradigm shift, because it's a completely new concept, because we've always had an inflationary financial system for I don't know how many hundreds of years now. People have just not got the mindset to comprehend what it's like being in a financial system that's fixed in supply and divisible rather than inflated. Because if it's divisible and effectively infinitely divisible, and you can't make any more, the only way your business moves from competing with your competitors and just trying to make your good cheaper and cheaper and cheaper and shittier and shittier and shittier, and in an inflationary financial system, if you have a business model that is not a consumable product, then you're going to get screwed, because the value of the currency is going down, and therefore you need more of it. So that's why an inflationary financial system is incredibly wasteful. But it's like Edison and his light bulb. He's just like, well, what's the point in making a light bulb that lasts a lifetime, because I can only sell one? Whereas if I sell light bulbs that have a limited lifespan on them, then people need to repeat buy.
Because he wants to make money. He has to make money, doesn't he? And that's the bit where it all goes wrong. I need more money. No, we need more wealth. It's a different thing.
We need we need value. Mm-hmm. Value is if you've got an asset that is increasing in value, then and you can spend that value in Bitcoin, then that's what you want. That's what you want to do. So rather than businesses competing with their competitors in the future, these businesses are going to be competing for the value in your pocket. They're just like, they'll be like, I don't care about my competitors. What I care about is providing you value, because you've got the value in your pocket that I, as a business, then now want. So what can I do for you that's going to give you value? Because when you spend in Bitcoin, it's a beautiful system, because you would only ever spend the equity that you've accrued. So you've accrued that equity for free. So you're just like, well, actually, I don't mind spending this, because I didn't have to work for it anyway. It's just equity that I've got. But I can spend that equity without having to liquidate it back into fiat currency, and Big Brother, putting a red flag against my bank account and wanting his fair share of, tuppence and halfpenny and all that, 40% capital gains tax, all that shit. You don't need that anymore, because you can now actually spend it. And those individuals are going to be wanting it, because when you spend it with them, you're not only paying the price on the day, what you're also giving away is the future value of that thing as it continues to increase in value. So you've got the entire lifetime of value. So what they'll say is like, well, actually, rather than charging you this, if you're looking at another product, just for you to make sure you spend that today, we will give you a discount. And not only will we give you a discount, we'll also roll out the red carpet. In fact, we'll send a limo out to come and collect you as well.
Just hold on to your next sentence, because we're just at the end of hour 2. We're leaving WBN now. We'll be back again same time next week, 3 p.m. US Eastern, 8 p.m. in the UK. We got a little song and a clip. I've got a nice clip from Michael Hudson. You may have sent me this. Coming up, we'll be back after this little song and a tasty little clip about money. How about that?
Western man has no plan since he became complacent. Stop believing in himself, let others steal his rewards. While he was dreaming, others were scheming, doing deals behind his back. Now Western man is adrift and under attack. What happened in between? Now there's no other bite of the cherry, unless he's prepared to fight. Start on a new path to freedom, new path to freedom. The horse has bolted from the stables, the lunatics have taken over the farm. Caretakers have taken over the main house, clandestine meetings in the forest. Going back to the way it was, now it just seems to be impossible. Western man has no plan. He stole it while he was dreaming. Cherry, unless he's prepared to fight. Start on you path to freedom. Horses bolted from the stables, the lunatics have taken over the farm. Caretakers have taken over the main building. The governors have gone over the wall. Clandestine meetings in the forest. Not going back to the way it was. Western man has no plan since he became complacent. Stop believing in himself and let others steal his rewards while he was dreaming. 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 Others were scheming. Scheming while he was dreaming. Others were scheming while he was dreaming. Others were scheming while he was dreaming.
What's the difference between the U.S. debt and the debt that African nations own? Because the U.S. debt doesn't keep the U.S. from being one of the leading powers of the world, but then African nations can't make it because of that debt that is strangling them.
What makes African and third world debt different from the American debt? Number one, America's never going to pay its debt. It doesn't have to. Its debts are in its own currency. We can simply print it. The African debt is not in its currency. The African debt is in U.S. dollars. Africa has to earn the U.S. dollars. The only way it can earn the U.S. dollars is not to be assassinated for growing its own food and becoming independent and doing something that the United States does not like. The principle underlying the foundation of the World Bank is that no country should grow its own food. Africa and the third world should only grow export crops. In order to have an oversupply of cocoa and other tropical raw materials to keep down the price. They must buy their grain from the United States or Europe so that if they do something that we don't like, we can do what America tried to do to China in the 60s. We can sanction them. We can say, we're going to starve you. We're going to not export any grain to you. So owing their foreign debt in dollars means that they have to somehow sell something that the United States wants, not what they want. I think the most evil organizations in the world today are the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund.
Michael Hudson, who would disagree with any of that? Did you send me that clip, Gary?
I did. Because I was just looking through all my financial clips. I didn't know what his name was, but I'd found the clip and then I saw the name Michael Hudson. I was like, oh, that's what you mentioned. So
that's
like,
right.
Oh, right. Yeah, found it.
Yeah, forgive them their debts. He's just blazingly great. He's fantastic, and he's still alive and kicking. So it's brilliant to hear from him. And yeah, he just nails it in that again. And what they're doing to Africa in a different sort of way they do to the peasants of Europe and of North America and everywhere else. It's exactly the same model. It's more, I guess it's exacerbated more when you see what they're doing to Africa. I remember we had a clip on here from the First Lady of Sierra Leone talking about this it was a slightly different aspect to it. She was talking about international corporations effectively taking all these raw materials out of Sierra Leone, and they were primarily American, British and Chinese corporations. And she said for every $100 million of stuff that they take out of the earth, we get $100,000.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how bad it is. It's horrific. And then, of course, they create a problem in Africa, which is also part of it. It's to disrupt and to create problems everywhere, which they can continue to use in part, to justify their positions as the problem solvers. We'll sort this out. Hang on. You're the ones causing it. Isn't this what Farage has just done by hoovering these morons into his party? Why? They won't notice. No, we've noticed. We're noticing deeply. And I think, Mr. Lowe has given voice to this thing. So,
but the thing is, the question is, the problem is so big and so vast. The issue is that people don't have the intellectual capacity to comprehend it. And then if they haven't got the intellectual capacity to even comprehend the problem, because they're just like, nah, that can't be right. It's too big. How on earth are they going to come up with a solution?
Mm-hmm.
Is my question.
Yep. Well,
and this is where we've just got to hope that the leaders like Rupert Lowe, and I just hope that maybe someone somewhere, can get me in contact with him. But however, the one thing that I do live in hope for is that I keep trying to explain to people like economic incentive. Because I know what's been going on behind the scenes for like the last almost a decade or so, and how this technology has been scaled and who created it and the purpose that it truly has. And people sort of like had an inkling about the potential that it had when it first started. They were like, the technology is amazing. It sort of links data together. It's called blockchain. It stems from a distributed foundation. It could potentially change the world, blah, 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 blah. And then you had all these supposedly blockchain experts saying, it could hit $1 million per coin and 10 million, blah, 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 blah. Because of that, there's been all this speculation on it, but people don't know what it's capable of. So that when the real, genuine Bitcoin, the one that I keep referring to, pokes his head and the market recognizes that, they're going to be going absolutely crazy for it. And the only individual in the entire world that is explaining it in the way that I'm explaining it is me. So
really,
so then people,
you're the only one.
Mate, there's no one.
Well, there'll be two of us soon, because I want to get on top of this big time. What about Chris Wright? Is Chris Wright the guy that holds the BSVs, the actual Bitcoin, or is he holding something else? These 1.1 million. Do
you mean Craig Wright?
Craig Wright, sorry, yeah, Craig Wright.
Yeah, that's him. Yes. So Craig is the inventor of Bitcoin, but the issue is he is Asperger's. So he is a genius. he is an absolute genius when it's come to creating and designing and scaling Bitcoin, because he's one of the world's top cryptographers. Literally, I think there's only there's a particular qualification by the GIAC or GACI, something like that, and there's only 4 people in the world that have got that qualification, and he is one of them. But the issue is that because he knows so much about it, he can't explain it in a way that I'm doing, where I can literally boil it down to the bare bones, because in his mind, every single step is just as important as the last, and it doesn't work without it. But that's from a technical sense. Whereas I was sort of like coming at it from a fundamental economics sense. I'm just like, people don't actually need to know the workings of blockchain to actually understand the economic fundamentals of this thing. And that's kind of like where he sort of falls down in being able to explain it in the way that I can, because even when he created it, even he was unaware of the difference between money and currency, because even he was sort of like referring to it as a cryptocurrency, and it's not currency, it's money, it's a commodity that he's created, and so even he's sort of been given this gift of creating it, but in a way still couldn't explain it. Not in the way that...
Well, it's not surprising, really. I mean, there's a long tradition of that kind of stuff. I've talked about it here. I'm not the only one to talk about it, but I've mentioned it. It's a bit like you've got these people that can go off into deep, dark tunnels of research, and they know exactly what they're doing because they're right up against the coalface. But they're a long way from us. We're a long way down the and when they whisper back to us, all that comes back is this sort of wall of sound. They're really excited about what they're doing, but we really don't have any idea, because there's a lot of sort of communications interference along the way. So you do need intermediary communicators who are like translators. I mean, it's absolutely vital, and they are a key role. It's like saying, I've just discovered the solution to everything in this forest. Do you know where it is? No, I've forgotten. What? It's like, but it's there. I saw it. Look, here's all the video footage. Well, how do we get there? I don't know. It's like really frustrating. We've solved everything. Yeah. Have we applied the solutions? No, it's applying it. That's the challenge, isn't it? And that's when we get involved in the communications game, which is the game. It really is. I mean, you could have the answer to everything in your back pocket, but if you're the only guy that knows it, that's as big as it ever gets. So, that genius is like he exists, and that guy Chris Langan, who's the one I mentioned quite a bit, the American guy who's got an IQ of 198 or something, although I don't think he's a cryptographer. He understands the money thing. I've seen some of his Twitter posts. He knows exactly who's behind it, and he writes about it in an extremely clean engineering type way. It's excellent stuff. It's not emotive. You need this sort of stuff, but we've got to be able to boil it down so that you could put it in the Sun newspaper and people would get it. And it can be done. I know it can be done. You can do it with anything. You have to just build it up slowly. You need a bit of time with people, and to really sort of lay these things out. We've never had so many communications tools at our fingertips to illustrate points. Of course, now neither has so has everybody else, and so you've got a huge sort of tidal wave of fluff out there. The great distractathon. Look at this video I've shot of a pussycat. Oh, that's great. That's another 2 minutes of your life lost. It's not that it's not great. It's that you wasted 2 minutes. Well, can we just get down to this foundational stuff in the building? Because the building's going to fall down. It's going to kill the pussycats and you and everybody. I don't mind you liking pussycats, but seriously, we've got to... There's some gritty stuff here has got to be addressed. Paul? Who was that?
Paul, it's Patrick.
Yeah, Patrick. Hello, Patrick. Patrick, here's Gary. Patrick, welcome to the show. Patrick's our
Gary,
farmer
nice
in Wisconsin, and he likes cheese sometimes. Yeah.
Hey, excellent.
Yeah, nice to meet you, Gary. Have either of you two heard of John Perkins? He wrote a book called The Confessions of an Economic Hitman.
Yes.
Oh, I've seen the I've seen the documentary. Amazing.
Yeah.
I've never read it. I know people that have read it that recommend it to me highly. I wonder if it's worth reading.
I'd watch the movie for Picture Paints 1,000 Words, because like he's written, if you watch the documentary, they've actually got footage of the events that he speaks about. It's incredible.
Well, okay.
He's one of their head gophers, isn't he? That's really what he is.
Yeah,
You
from
go
the sound of it, they send them into a country to take
Yep.
over and divert the flow of money to their coffers.
Well,
Well,
this
I
is
guess-
also where the expression "banana republic" comes from.
Yeah,
From-
and
yeah.
that you mentioned Michael Hudson. He wrote a book you should read called Super Imperialism that explains the whole system of how they do it and the derivatives and how the financial class of people in a country end up taking out these loans from the IMF or the World Bank,
Yeah.
and then they get a percentage of the profits that come in from the taxpayer that go to pay off the interest on the loans to the IMF and the World Bank. It's ridiculous the way it works. But it's there again, we're back to usury, which is our favorite subject on this show and other places.
Have you also seen a movie called The International?
No.
So it's worth watching for one clip. There's a famous British actor in it, but I can't remember his name off the top of my head. And they're tracing the flow of weapons and the flow of currency and all this kind of stuff. And they sit down and they have an interview with the head of a bank, which is called the IB. In the movie they call it the IBB, but it's basically a mockery of the Bank of International Settlements.
BIS.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So, but they call it the IBB, and in it, when they're saying, look, who is it that's controlling the flow of weapons and who wants to, they were just like, look, control the flow of weapons, control of conflict. And he says, no. He says the IBB is a bank. The object isn't to control the conflict, it's to control the debt that the conflict produces.
Yeah.
He says, because if you control the debt, you control everything. And he said, and he finishes the talk by saying, this is upsetting. Yeah. He said, but this is the essence of the entire banking industry, to make everybody, whether they be individuals or nations, slaves to debt. That's it. That is the entire point of the banking industry. And it's that, usury, if you're the only institution that can print the currency that the rest of the world is using, you're the only one that can't ever go bust because everybody is in debt to you. And if you can't get from them what everybody else uses to conduct business, well, then you're going to be out of the economy and on the streets. That's where it leads
Clive
to.
Owen's the actor you're thinking of. I know the clip. I used to have it on file. I've just been looking for it because I wanted to play it. I know exactly what you mean. It's a brilliant clip. It's fantastic. Particularly the look on his female assistant, Clive Owen's female assistant. She's going, so it's to get all the money. He goes, no, it's to get control. The money.
Yeah.
They just control everything. This is how it works.
Yeah,
it's a fantastic. It's a very
debt.
sober scene, isn't it? It's quite a miserable scene. You can see the look on their faces. That they're very good at sort of having a really foul idea dawn upon them that everybody's involved in a pointless life. I mean, that's the way I used to sum it. I went, what? It was, this is all pointless. Everything we're doing is pointless. It's mad. It's completely mad.
Parasitic.
Yeah.
It's parasitic is what it is. And this is what I keep trying to explain to people about traders, because the cabal have encouraged everybody with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency to trade it, and it's now sort of like become cool to be a trader, to sort of try and predict the market or front run it. But if you are in the trading pit, all you're literally doing is trying to get lucky, and at some point you'll just simply get wiped out. Because if a trader says, oh, I've made like 10 grand today, or 100 grand, or a couple of million today, or whatever. Well, the question is, where did you get that from? Because you've not made anything. You've not produced anything. You've not manufactured anything. You've not provided a service of anything. So where have you got that from? Well, they've got that from the pockets of other traders who are in the trading pit with them. So all they do is they pickpocket from other traders. But what they do is because it's a zero-sum game, because when you get winners and losers, and the losers drop out, and then the winners get fewer and fewer and fewer until you're left with one trader. But then that trader has got no one else left to trade with, which means there's no value in the item that he's monopolized. So trading is a zero-sum game. It's literally parasitic. And that's why they've encouraged it. And this is why they don't want people to know what you actually use Bitcoin for. which is what I'm trying to sort of educate people on. Because when people realize that you buy it in order to use it for a purpose, then you never ever have to resell it back into their central banking system, which is what they're more concerned about.
Which makes it seem like, what good is it if you can't buy a loaf of bread with it? If you can't feed your family with it, what's the point of it? And then I know that in Russia they basically outlawed the exchanges, so you can't even really trade cryptocurrency for rubles anymore as a consequence. So what's to say they couldn't do that here or anywhere else? Just ban the exchanges and then boom.
It's the exchange point is their control point, isn't it? I mean, I know that in the early days of Bitcoin, I think there was a big exchange maker, Mountain something or other. I can't remember its name. It was a big one. Yeah, that was the one. And there was a court case where they went to, and it was before a New York court. I don't know what you would call it, but it was, and the judge there, I remember seeing, this is about 2014, about 5 years in after the thing had kicked off, and there were pressure to shut it down. He had the power to shut down all of the exchange market. He could have said, right, no exchanges, could have just banned them, like you're saying in Russia. He didn't, and that I went, this is a fix. The minute he didn't, I knew it was a thing that they were seeking to augment or to develop or to do in some kind of way to get control of, as they always do. Time for Godfrey Bloom talking about money to the European Union. I've played this many times, but now's apt.
It is my opinion that you do not really understand the concept of banking. All the banks are broke. Bank Santander, Deutsche Bank, Royal Bank of Scotland, they're all broke. And why are they broke? It isn't an act of God. It isn't some sort of tsunami. They're broke because we have a system called fractional reserve banking, which means that banks can lend money that they don't actually have. It's a criminal scandal, and it's been going on for too long. To add to that problem, you have moral hazard, a very significant moral hazard from the political sphere. And most of the problem starts in politics and central banks, which are part of the same political system. We have counterfeiting, sometimes called quantitative easing, but counterfeiting by any other name. The artificial printing of money, which if any ordinary person did, they'd go to prison for a very long time. And yet governments and central banks do it all the time. Central banks repress the amount of interest that rates are, so we don't have the real cost of money. And yet we blame the real retail banks for manipulating LIBOR. The sheer effrontery of this is quite astonishing. It's central banks that manipulate interest rates, Commissioner. And plus, underneath all this, we talk loosely, in a rather cavalier fashion, do we not, about deposit guarantees. So when banks go broke through their own incompetence and chicanery, the taxpayer picks up the tab. It's theft from the taxpayer. And until we start sending bankers, and I include central bankers and politicians, to prison for this outrage, it will continue.
Good old Godfrey, eh? That's not a bad one.
That was good and well said. But can you hear the mistake that he made?
Oh, yeah, I know that they're in there. He's confused that they're actually issuing money in the first place. I've got that. But, I mean, the thing is, I'll take anything that's good that's going in the right direction. And in nearly every single case, if you look at it historically, you can look at any of these comments and you can go, oh, they missed that and they missed this. You know, we've got more information than maybe he had 12 years ago. No doubt. I mean, because I think that was about 2014. I think it is. I haven't got a date on it, but it's round about then from memory.
Gox would have been around that time, yeah.
Yeah, it would have, but that's probably enough for the. That's a big thing to say to those morons in there, because they don't even believe they're morons. They think they're intelligent. That's the problem. You're dealing with people who actually think they know what they're talking about. So it's almost impossible to teach these people stuff or to show them it. Anyway, they're not the people to show it to anyway, because they've already declared their colours by their choice of vocation. They are abusers of people. That's why they're in politics, you know, because they've got nothing much else to actually contribute.
But they probably know, whereas we are or infidels compared to them. You know, they're just like, well, yeah, these guys, you know, haven't even figured it out yet. And one of the reasons they know that we haven't figured it out yet is because, just like Godfrey was saying in there, he doesn't know the difference between money and currency. It's currency that is a security that is fraud. So if you're calling money a fraud, well, then you're not, because money has to be a commodity, you're not recognizing that it's securities fraud that they're perpetrating on us. So it's all in people's language. So the moment they hear people getting confused and caught and saying that you can print money from nothing, they know that you're never going to figure it out because you're dumb and stupid and ignorant. It's currency that they print. It's not money. And until people can figure out the difference, we're doomed. You know, and I'm the only one.
They're not going to figure it out without considerable communications help, are they? Just like I couldn't figure out particle physics without a tutor that I might deem knows what he's teaching me about if I'm interested in it, which I'm not. So that's the challenge. It's not that people can't learn these things. It's that the leaders of the communication need to be considerably greater in number and in simplicity of getting it across. And we need every sort of teaching aid and enthusing aid that we can get our hands on to show what it is and deliver it almost like David Attenborough would deliver it. Seriously, it just needs to be this. And people go, oh, yeah, got that. And this, nice and calm and steady. Because if we get too excited about it, it sort of switches people off, I think. You know, pity that psychology bint you were talking about didn't have her head screwed on, right? Because, you know, people like that we need to understand this sort of communication challenge, which is huge. It's absolutely huge. It's like I was saying, it's not that people like you don't have the truth. It's how do we marshal it and get it delivered effectively, you know, like UPS to everybody tomorrow morning so they can act on it by lunchtime. It's a bit of an ask. It's not going to happen.
That's the problem. They can cut you off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Paul.
they can.
Yeah, Paul, hi.
Yeah, before we get too far around the bend, can I play a clip for you?
You can. It's not vulgar, is it?
It's only a couple of minutes. What?
Of course you can. Yeah, I'll let you play a clip. Go on,
right,
clip away.
What Scarson is attempting to do is to make the IBBC the exclusive broker of Chinese small arms to the Third World. And the missile deal is the gateway transaction.
Yeah, but billions of dollars invested simply to be a broker. There can't be that much profit for them.
No, this is not about making profit from weapon sales. It's about control.
Control the flow of weapons, control the conflict.
No. The IBBC is a bank. Their objective isn't to control the conflict. It's to control the debt that the conflict produces. You see, the real value of a conflict, the true value, is in the debt that it creates. You control the debt, you control everything. You find this upsetting, yes? But this is the very essence of the banking industry. To make us all, whether we be nations or individuals, slaves to debt.
You sound like you're not very fond of the IBBC. What happened?
I was fond of André Clément. I trusted him. And he was a good friend.
Bravo. Fantastic.
Well done for grabbing that, Paul. You get Clip Picker Award of the Week. That was fantastic. I'm so glad you got that. I listened to it only last week and I didn't clip it. But that is brilliant. So brilliant. Fantastic contribution. Thank you very much. That was great. Yeah, that's it. In a nutshell.
Because also, in order to get people to listen, we have to spark their interest. You know, but the thing is, with what I'm trying to explain to people is that there are economic what's the word? Economic philosophies or theories, if you want. So there's FOMO, which is where people go in because there's fear of missing out, and there's price discovery, which is when the number starts going up, and people are just like, hold on a minute, why? How come? How's the number gone up? And that's what's going to bring the masses in. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain to people what's going to happen, what's going to create FOMO, and what's going to generate price discovery. So that at least I can try and build an army and protect the farmers financially and get everybody else involved before that happens, because it's going to be price discovery and fear of missing out that brings everybody in, and we just have to be in before that happens. So this is why I'm sort of, rather than explaining it and broadcasting it to thousands of people, I'm working on the fact that I think 10 people with a fundamental understanding of something can achieve far more than 1,000 people who don't have a clue. So if I can just explain this to a few, handful of intelligent people who are just like, right, I get this, I know what needs to be done, right, let's get in on it now because this is what's coming. That's the most important thing. And this is what the entire crypto market is trying to distract people away from, which is the knowledge that I'm giving. Because even gold and silver, because the crypto market isn't working as a distraction anymore. BTC is going down, Bcrash is going down, Ethereum is going down, XRP is going down. All these shit coins are coming in, and people are just like, look, I'm sick to death of this. This isn't working anymore. This is why I actually suspect they're pumping gold and silver. Because the crypto market isn't working as a distraction anymore. They need something else. Whether it's war or whether it's Prince Andrew or whether it's, political espionage or whatever. Everything is a distraction away from this new financial system because they just simply don't want people holding BSV. They'd rather you were holding gold or silver because that doesn't threaten their economic power. They can buy as much gold and silver as they want because they can print currency from nothing. But what they can't do is create Bitcoin from nothing, and they can't spend it because there's a digital signature attached to every single transaction, and they can't buy it because that would be a market indicator for everybody else, and they would soon figure out what it could actually be used for. So literally, it's like their kryptonite. They cannot touch it, and it's the only weapon that we've got. And this is where I'm trying to build an army, because if you've got a well-funded and well-weaponized army, then at least we have a chance.
We're all in it. I mean, it's right on the theme, the prime backbone theme of this show. And I've not talked about crypto because, as I told you, I sort of threw it away out of my head. But what you're saying here is absolutely it's a massive path worth pursuing. I've got it. I've really got it.
Absolutely.
And I think championing it. You see, I personally. Everybody's going to fit in at a different point on the communications chain in terms of what they can do and what they're good at doing. I want to be able to get hold of the layman and in 30 seconds get them to go, yeah, okay, count me in. That's it. They don't even need to understand it. I mean, that's basically what I was doing the other night. I said, look, this. The bankers don't like it. They go, oh, we're interested. Because they're at a certain point of understanding about things, which is fantastic. And other people,
you need to bring it to the practical level that you can just go and trade with. That's the problem.
Gary's gonna onboard me, aren't you, Gary? And you're gonna train me, and then I'm gonna be off like a jackrabbit with it because
brilliant.
That's what I want. Yeah, absolutely. And we've got, in fact, you could see across FFT, we need ads, right? Seriously, there's a little thing for you to work on, like little 30-second infomercials. I hate to use the phrase, but it's true. Instead of running adverts, we go, did you know? And really work on the wording of these things so people go, oh, yeah, that's cool. And we get Clive Owen to voice it. We're going to ask Clive, would you, reprising your role from the International, everybody needs to get involved with this. Yeah. Patrick.
Paul, I have a question. Have any of you on the panel here considered a wealth tax for these people, these usurers? Meaning taxing their wealth. Not an income tax for, like a flat tax or any of that kind of stuff, but actual wealth tax.
But how would you enforce it, Patrick? How would you make it happen? They've got so many resources to actually, that's their world, isn't it, really? Isn't that their world? That's just my first response. That's my first thought. I'm not against it.
Okay, so but you've got people that you're supporting right now, like Rupert Lowe, for instance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's the best candidate that I'd vote for him or even vote, but if you get people talking about it, you see, we're in the media. If we get enough people talking about it, it can get done, because then you get enough people, constituents of these people who are in government, talking about it.
Yeah,
that's how it happens. That's how any of this stuff happens.
That's why we're doing radio, isn't it? That's why we think that this medium and the video medium is the way to go. And it is. It's about reach. And I suppose we've got to make this topic more exciting than the fluffy cat videos. Because it is.
Yeah.
It is. But that's the level that people rather go, so maybe we get fluffy cats to talk it. We have to do some, AI fluffy cats. I'm Fluffy Cat and I'm here to tell you about this. See what I
It
mean?
was
You
like
get people
that
laughing. You've
Amelia
got them with you
campaign.
already. We've got to make it a joke and an informational, and it's got to be infotainment. It does, unfortunately, because we're competing with everybody's attention span. They talk about the attention economy. I mean, it's another crapola term, but we know what they mean. We know what they mean. If people are just watching guff, their life's going to be guff, and it is for most of us. So, but there's a cluster of people that really know their stuff, and it may be that we need interpreters, just like you do. You make it, because I've spoken to people in terms that I thought they would get, and I can see that I haven't got them, so I have to sort of
The eyes glaze over.
Yeah. So I don't do it at that meeting because that would be embarrassing for them. I don't want to do that. But the next time I'll pitch it down lower and might get a point of engagement. I mean, but that's one-on-one. It's very slow. So, but I think there's probably, I don't know, I guess ad agencies would know about pitches, when they're taking a brief to get an idea across. They go, the first thing they want to know is who's your target market? What are they? What's their general education level? What do they, and they used to do a lot of research on people. I suppose you just ask ChatGPT now and it'll give you a complete marketing plan in 15 minutes, which is cool. I mean, this is why AI, we need to use it before they do. Do you know what I mean? Get hold of it, because it could save us an awful lot of time. I was saying, I don't know if I'd mentioned it last week, but with books and things like this, we talk about a lot of books here. They're big, some of these books. Huge, right? My bookshelves are heaving with all this stuff that's really... I look at it sometimes and go, did I really read that? It's so ridiculous. The history of English banking from 1650 to 1799 or something. And I did. And I go, but that's useless to the layman. I became aware, you can't go, hey, read 10,000 pages of books. Yeah, right. It's not going to happen. It just isn't. It's got nothing to do with that they couldn't read it. It's that they won't, because there's a football match on tomorrow. And I don't even begrudge people getting a rise out of football, but this topic is not being covered at all. It's got no place in it, and we've got to go, well, we've got to just get in there and just
we've
ruin
got
their
to read it
football
and
matches.
Summarize it.
Yeah.
We have to summarize it in a way that is palatable. Otherwise, what good does the knowledge we have? You read all those books, it's like, what's the point if you can't summarize it to somebody who doesn't know? Yeah, and you're right. You almost have to hold them by the hand and show them how it works. Otherwise, they're not going to know.
And it might not even come from people like us. It'll spread down. It's almost as if you got a video, say, from a boy or a girl aged 14 or 15 of average intelligence who just say something so apt and on the nail about it. And everybody goes, oh, yeah, it's that stuff. It's like bingo moments. They happen. They're out there. You've kind of had one this week, Gary, with these sort of video podcast things that you've done and the huge sort of traction that you've got out of them. Something's happened there on a scale that I guess you weren't possibly anticipating, and I'm thrilled for you. I think it's fantastic.
What's that about? What is it about? Podcast that you're doing?
So I've done a podcast with the Pod Ghost podcast. And the guy who interviews me, a chap called Yaz, has created these reels to go on Instagram. And he's really, really well connected in terms of celebrities, because he organizes like celebrity boxing matches and things like that. He's friends with like Josh Warrington and Amir Khan and things like that. And so he's got really big contacts. And he said even with Amir Khan, the sort of reels that are just maybe a couple of minutes long, they get sort of maybe 40,000 views. He said, my one, we got 1.5 million. 1.5 million on one, 1.3 million on another, and 800K on another. And then he was showing me like the number of people that have shared it, the number of people that have commented on it, the number of people that have sort of looked at it along with other people. He goes, this is absolutely nuts. This is unprecedented, and it's all underground because YouTube have been suppressing the shadow banning the figures. But he said these, and even what they did with this one particular reel on Instagram, it got so many views that they actually hid the view. If you notice when you go on Instagram now, they've actually taken away the viewing figures of these reels. So that other people don't have a clue about how popular they're becoming. And that was all because of our one. That was literally because I was doing that. I was like, look, this has got like 1 million plus views. And then they took the viewing figures away. But obviously, the individual who uploaded the video, they still get all the stats behind the scenes. but it was fascinating.
Never heard of that
Fascinating.
before, Gary. Never heard of that. Pod ghost, you say? So they're being ghost banned. Well, what a surprise, eh? Yeah, but it's just, it really reinforces what you're saying, that this is, what's the thing? When you're getting flack, it means you're right over the target. You're right over
Absolutely.
it. This is right over it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is.
It's encouraging.
It's just kind of
massively encouraging.
It is, especially. I mean, if Rupert Lowe has been talking about it, and also, I mean, even if you gents here were just holding one coin, it's worth billions.
I'm getting a few more than that. You've got to onboard me in the next couple of days. You've got to fix some time up. I'll arrange with after the show. I've got to get all these people. I'm meeting them in 2 weeks. They want me to get it for all of them. There were 8 people around the table, right? Straight off.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Right,
When I get going with this stuff, I'll burn a hole. I can get going when I'm right behind a thing, and I'm right behind this thing. Some listeners might disagree with me. All right, it's fine. I'm giving it a go. We've got to act. We've got so many things.
Absolutely.
I think Rupert Lowe's communication is basically saying, this is it. It really is, And I think your summary with regards to we either live as slaves under their currency system or we get back in charge under the peasants' money system. That's how it's got to be that simple. It's like, you're a peasant, you use money, these are bankers, they use currency. They can go to hell. Because they're going to hell, they just want to drag you there with them as their slaves. Bye. It's stuff like, it's really sort of football terrace language. It's literally what we need.
Well, let's start with that then. So what it is, the comment is, we either have a common money, because money has to be a commodity. So it's like we either have a common money. So common means that there's no central point of authority or control, because a commodity is only ever extracted or grown. So we either have a common money used by the people, because, the common people, to create government that works for the people, or government will create currency, which is security, to control the people because they issue it. So that's the expression that you need. We either have a common money used by the people to create government that works for the people, or government will create currency to control the people. They're the only options available to us.
Which do you choose? We need a poll, don't we? Which do you want? Which will it be?
So, Gary, do you go by the handle Sir Toshi? Am I on the right place? Okay,
that's the one.
All right, I see it.
It's just Gary Glendale when I'm on the Farmers Show.
Yeah, it gets it. Well, I just see the image; it gets your attention. That's the mask. You're wearing a mask with.
He's Gary round here. You can't utter that name ever again, Patrick. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm doing my best, Gary, but I just can't stop them. People, you know what they're like. You've got leakage in your persona management. You need to. It's tricky.
It's all right.
Yeah, of course it's all right. It's all going to come out in the wash, it doesn't matter. It's okay. It's cool.
That's psychological warfare, is getting two subjugated groups from communicating with each other. That's the definition of it.
Well, the more pseudonyms I've got, the better. That's the way I look at it, because I'm sort of like spreading the risk.
Yeah.
So I'll come up with a pseudonym on every different show I do.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right to do it. I think you're right to do it. Not saying that I do.
It's clever. It grabs you. I'm looking at the shorts. They grab your attention. That's clever. And when you want to get views, I guess that's the way to do it.
If you could send me the links, outrageous. Patrick, on Telegram, because Gary just alluded to them. Just all these big figures. Okay. I don't mind. It's great. So I won't mind a scan at those. That would be great. Thank you. Good stuff.
Well, I've actually done. I've recently uploaded a video onto Rumble, actually,
right?
Called "Farmers to Action: A History of High Treason," and I think that's probably one of the best videos I've produced, because in that I was literally able to go through the entire banking system and also explain why they were doing this and how we got here. Because the Magna Carta was created in 1215 due to the fact that usury was introduced into our land after Harold lost the Battle of Hastings in 1066, and he was funded, by these same people who wanted to introduce usury into the country to asset strip the barons, which is what led on to the signing of the Magna Carta.
Mm-hmm.
In 1215. So it's kind of like, that happened right the way back then, and the people rose up and they created this great charter, the Magna Carta, with King John. And now the same thing has happened again. They've been screwed over because of this document, Memorandum FCO 30/1048, which was signed by Queen Elizabeth in 1972. So she'd already committed high treason by doing that, by surrendering sovereignty, of this country, and effectively deposing herself. So a lot of people aren't even aware of that. But what I've done is I've explained it in this one video that I've uploaded, so I can send you a link for you to watch that.
If you send it to me now on Telegram, if you get a minute in between all the chat, I'll post it here into the Rumble and YouTube chats. At least everybody that's listening will get that link and they can go immediately.
Yeah. And Paul, these short videos that he did, you could also use those as a segue on the station on FFT radio.
Yes, that's what I was thinking. They can go in the gap. The idea with FFT by the end of March, when it's hopefully screwed together fully and properly, is that we will run a 4-minute break at the top of each hour from like 2 minutes to 2 minutes past or something like that, to give everybody a break and to, change their trousers or whatever they need to do, and to give the listeners. And so infomercials are great. We don't have to be selling products. We can do that, of course, if we want to do things. But because if we're selling products, we really want them to be paid for in peasant money. That's what we want. I want to use peasant money and peasant crypto money. That's what we will need to use. I don't know what we could.
So I've just sent you that link, Paul, in your in the Telegram. Do you want to see if you've got it?
Thank you. I'll be sending it over. Yeah, cool.
Brilliant.
Yeah. Yeah, here we go. So I'll just plonk this into the old YouTube. Oh, God, go away. Not you, everybody. I'm just talking to myself as I cock things up. There we go. I've just plonked it into YouTube, and I'm plonking it into Rumble. So this is the video that Gary's just been referring to. Farmers to Action, a history of high treason. Brilliant. Thank you. I'll be watching that. That's fantastic. How long is it?
Good question. Let me have a quick look. It is 51 minutes.
Well, then we'll suck the audio out of that, and that can go into the playlist on the radio station. Okay, so you don't have to do anything. I'll get that.
Brilliant.
Yeah, it's anything that you've got like that. As long as it's got an audio track, we can play it and we'll schedule it. And it's the main problem, of course, is alerting people on the schedule when it's coming up. That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
I could do with some AI for that. I want one. I want an AI app that goes, look, if you know that this track's going to play in 3 hours, can you alert everybody on Telegram now that it's coming up? And I want it all automated. I can't type all this stuff in. It's just overwhelming.
Yeah.
So it's all this fiddly crap. I want AI to do all that stuff because it's useful. It's just basic information. The train's arriving in 3 hours and it's 10 minutes late. Good. I don't want to type that up. I just want a machine to take care of it. That's what we got the bloody things for,
Well, so, Paul, you have to become an expert in XML and RSS feeds because that's how you do it. That's what I found out, but it's difficult.
But if you're an expert in that, Patrick, don't I just call you up on the telephone?
I'm not.
Isn't that better?
I just know that's what we need to look into. That's all.
Damn.
I know where to look. That's all.
Yeah, I think I'm just too much of I've hit that age where I'm aware I'm not as enthusiastic about finding out new tech things. I've got so much other stuff in my head that entertains me too or intrigues me more. It's sort of a different type of thinking, like literature and these ideas. But this stuff needs to be done. I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Rupert Lowe was saying that. Not that I'm not Rupert Lowe, but he just said, I'm of this age. I know this stuff, but they've got the ability. And they know what to do in terms of the mechanics of the here and now today in 2026. This is really important stuff. So, and I feel galvanized because this is a project to do something. We've got to keep talking about it, and there's been no stopping that anyway. But it's good to talk about things where there's a project involved, and you go, "Whoa, look at this! It's going. I want my wonky carrots. I want to buy wonky carrots." See, you get a laugh with it, don't you? It's really important. We built the whole currency system, or the whole money system, I should say, so that we could buy wonky carrots with our own money. That's what we wanted to do, and we're buying them. Look at these; they're brilliant carrots. And it's got to be at the level of a farmer. It's like you're covered in dirt. You go, oh, yeah, I take a bit of that. Here's some carrots. Great. That's simple. We can't make it simple enough. So
I love it. I love it. The Wonky Carrot Initiative.
Absolutely. I just think we should get a wonky carrot almost like as the symbol for Food for Thought Radio. I'm serious. It just needs a nice, and we give it out as an award.
Reminded me of something.
You get the Wonky Carrot Award or something. It'd be great.
We have laws here in Wisconsin that restaurants can't give away food that they otherwise would have to throw away, or that would otherwise go to waste.
Right.
They're forced to throw away good food. You can't just, as a restaurant, you bake too many things. No, you got to throw it in the garbage. You can't give it to a poor person.
See, that's outrageous. Absolutely outrageous.
It is. I've heard Mark talk about that. These what are they over here for people that are short of food? What are they called? They're food banks. Food banks. Yeah. And they can't deal with that stuff either. He said it's absolutely mad. And there's the amount of wastage. I don't know what it's like in the States, but over here it's nuts. Yeah. Oh, the supermarket's rejected because it's a wonky. The wonky carrot is rejected. Well, we embrace the wonky carrot, and we can have the Wonky Carrot Award. It'll be the highest award you could get for, I don't know, gobbing off against some politics. It doesn't matter what it is. I'd like I wouldn't mind it. You get a free bag of wonky carrots, so you got to eat them. So if we get people chuckling a bit and they're going, "Oh, this is fun," if you get people going, "This is fun," great, they're in because they'll rock up for a bit of fun, and slowly but surely, the serious stuff will percolate. It'll go through their system. You go, "All right, got it now. Yeah, okay, I'll be using this then." That's it. It's that simple. Yeah, it's not cash anymore. I use this stuff. This is great.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah, you wouldn't imagine the amount of waste in the farming industry because it's ridiculous. I have one of my coworkers is from Mexico, and he knows a lot about farming. He was out in Idaho working on these potato farms. He bought some land, and you have to have just the absolute perfect potato crop. And if you get this certain disease in there, they'll reject the entirety of it, and they're selling to places like McDonald's. It's just ridiculous what they end up wasting for the potatoes, and the whole field then becomes condemned. They can't even use it. It's just like you think of the people that you could feed with all the waste that we throw away, and it's something like it's ridiculous amount of like 1-to-1 amount of food that gets sold to the amount that gets wasted. And yet the prices are sky high to where you have to go, you got these poor people going to food banks to subsist.
It's all by design. It is.
Exo writes here in Rumble, it says supermarkets in the UK bleach food so that it can't be used so it can't be dumpster dived.
What?
It's just... Yeah, so you can't pick it up. That's what Mark was saying at these food banks. There's tons of food around, but you won't find all this fresh food that just happened to be left over because of wonky carrots or whatever it is. I mean,
my God.
Right at the start of it, we've got this theft, and then what we're talking about are the symptoms of it, and they're everywhere. And people have lived in it. I've lived in it my entire life. It's like you're in a fog, and you can't. This is why people got this funny feeling. They go, "There's something not right." Yeah, what is it? It's banking, mate. What? And Commerce. It's so boring. That's why people glaze over. They go, "What? What are you talking about?" That's always, and I don't blame them for responding like that. I mentioned here before, you start to talk to people about money, and the first thing, or one of the fastest things that comes up for people is, "I ain't got enough. Don't talk to me about that. I've got bills to pay. You're reminding me about my struggle." Don't do that. I just want a beer. Bugger off. I want to watch the football. That's literally it.
Don't talk to a coward about war.
Yeah, it's tricky.
Yeah, exactly.
It is really, really tricky. That's the rule. That's the commonality. And there's no point us even blaming those people because there's so many of them, and we want them on this side. We want them in this pasture eating wonky carrots with us. That's what we want.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Yeah.
We go, stop going over there where it's all lovely and covered in cellophane and killing you, right? Time to get dirty. And not only that, we're going to have this simple, bright intelligence that we're going to give you about money. And you're going to use it. And it's yours, okay? And just start doing more of that. Forget about all this complicated stuff. The more that we do of that, I'm speculating here, but it'll start to drive it out. It's like a retrovirus in their system. That's what we are.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Moving from their purposely created, economically toxic system into an economically positive one. and they know it. And this is literally all we need. We can't beat them physically because they own the police, they own the military, they've got all these weapons, and they own everything. The only chance we've got is if we get out of their economic system, so they have got no economic leverage over us or coercion. So it's the only way.
Well, the thing as well, the thing is, all their minions, like what's his name, the guy that we were talking about, the economic hitman, they all get paid. I've mentioned this over and over again. The main problem is all the guys on that side, they don't worry about their mortgages because they get paid, and that's what keeps them there.
Yeah.
And if they start to see, because it'll percolate up that it's got to, or it'll disease up, and no doubt they're going to fight like hell, but they've made hell already, so we're kind of used to that. But that's it. So that the waifs and strays in their system, the ones at the bottom end, need to know that when it goes pear-shaped, they're the first ones to be killed off. You're going to get in the neck first, you lower-level minions. They'll just turn on you. They'll just do you in. Oh, you haven't read history. Well, that's a bit of a problem for you, because if you had, you'd know that this happens every single time, right? So you need to make your mind up which side you're on. It's literally that. It is a choice. Where you go? Where do you want to go?
Hey, Paul?
Yeah, Paul.
Speaking of lower-level minions, I've got an idea. You run into a grocery store that bleaches their discards to prevent dumpster diving. Just gather up 30, 40, 50, or 60 homeless people that particularly maybe haven't had a shower in about 6 weeks, and just walk them right through the front doors of the store, right through the produce section, and let them pick out whatever produce they want, and then walk them all the way through the checkout lanes to buy their lettuce, to buy their cabbage, to buy their carrots, whatever. And when management freaks out about it, just simply inform them, well, these people could have been dumpster diving out back, but you bleach perfectly good food to deny it to people who actually need it, so these people are now your customers. These are now your customer base. They are paying customers. If you have a problem with it, go piss up a rope or call the cops, because we'll be gone long before they get here.
You are a
and they'll
food
stop bleaching
terrorist,
the refuse
Paul.
out back.
You're a food terrorist now. That'll be the next phrase.
I am.
The wonky carrot
They will
terrorists.
stop bleaching the food. They will stop bleaching the food out back because they don't want the people that would be diving for it in the store.
Yeah.
Put up or shut up.
Of course, where I live, Paul, there aren't any poor people at all. Everybody's just delightfully middle class. There's nobody sleeping indoors.
Okay, I give up.
I don't go down there. You see, it's all a bit sordid. Poor bastards. It's terrible. Yeah, but these are the signs of it, aren't they? These are the symptoms of this, basically, this systemic disease. Best analogy, I think I mentioned it before, is leukemia. It's a dreadful disease, but that's what it is. It's blood that's carrying a cancer with it, and that's what their currency system is. It's cancerous, and it just chews up the substance of civilization by design.
I got a question.
We got a couple of minutes just to let you know we're down to a couple of minutes.
Okay. What happened last Monday? I was waiting for Gary's show. What happened?
Don't embarrass him. He's done a great job tonight. This is absolutely outrageous.
No, I know. Hey, it's a compliment.
He went to the wrong pub, didn't you, Gary? He went to like Mark. He went to the wrong pub. That's all that happened.
Well, it was all. I had it in my diary. I was looking forward to it, and literally all it was I got overwhelmed with the number of commitments that I had and how I was going to make it, because I had this podcast thing to get to in London the next day, and it completely slipped my mind. Honestly, it just completely slipped my mind. I was too busy thinking, what time have I got to get up? What train have I got to get? What time am I going to get there? How am I going to make my way across London? Blah, 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 blah. Like, honestly. And then it literally just slipped my mind. And then when I realized I'd forgotten it, honestly, the guilt was just horrendous. I was just like, because I actually really enjoy doing these shows, It's a bit therapy for me.
They're relief for you, aren't they? We're fooling around a bit, and it's good. Anyway, don't worry. You're going to make it up for me by onboarding me into BSV. That's what you.
Rupert Lowe subbed for you anyway.
Yeah, we put a bit of a Rupert. I haven't played that 7-minute clip. If you haven't heard it, everybody, go and look it up and listen to it. It's 7 minutes. It's a good 7-minute listen. You won't agree with all of it, no doubt. And for most people here, many people here, it will not go far enough. But it's the first step. You know, every massive journey starts with the first step, and I think it's genuinely different because of the circumstances, because of the context in which it's taking place. We're coming out of this COVID stuff. There's been a lot going on. The great distractathon will one day, very soon, lose its hold. People will just go, forget that. Let's sort ourselves out. And once we start doing that, then they're really in trouble. Oh, there we go. Fantastic. Gary, it's been great having you on. Brilliant.
A pleasure,
I'll be pestering
always.
you on Telegram to book up 5 or 10 minutes or however long it takes. You've got to train me
Brilliant.
ASAP. It's top of my to-do list. Seriously. And then I'm going to bore everybody shitless about it for years to come. I'm not going to bore them. I'm going to get them all completely galvanized. You know, because yeah, really, seriously. I need something fun to do. You know, you get to a certain age, you've got to cause trouble. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in tonight here on FFT Radio, Eurofoot Radio, Radio Soapbox, and all the other stations, and all the crowd in Rumble and YouTube. Be back again same time next week. Might talk about Rupert Lowe and Bitcoin again next week. No, seriously, I don't know right now, but we'll be talking about something fun. Keep good, and we'll see you all next week.